And hello and welcome to SuperTV Showdown. Everybody, this is the show where we watch, speaking of we, it's DJ Woldridge.
That's me.
Roxy Stryer. And Sam Bashur. And we collectively...
I don't think it's good when you say your own name wrong, man.
That's how it is, and that's how it's going to be. I'm just saying it.
You know, when people go in like, oh, how do I pronounce this name? And then they see your interview and it's like, Sam Bashur?
Yeah,
all right, well, I guess
that's
the way
what
we,
it is.
I guess that's how we say it. You know?
By the way, segue from the intro, but I did go into a business pitch meeting once, and I thought this silly guy who we talk funny to each other, he kept saying it wrong during the interview, during a very serious meeting, and I was like, this might be my fault. I fumbled it. And then I didn't know, by the end of it, I was like, hey man, just so you know, my name is Sam Basher. Just like putting that out there. Anyways.
That's always a weird conversation to have because you don't want to
It's
make
so
them
weird.
feel bad, but you do want them to know.
Wait, I actually have a great relevant thing to tell you guys about
Yes.
this when it comes to Emily Bet Ricards, but I'm not going to tell you now. I'm going to tell you during the Patreon one.
There it is. So tune in for the patreon.com/onlystupidAnswers.
I'm not even doing it for that reason, but I need it not to be as public what I say.
That's fair. That's fair.
Good call.
Yeah.
Garth McMurray writes, side note, Roxy, I like seeing your trips to the UK for Bohemian Rhapsody interviews.
So just to be clear, they were in Vegas.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad.
But wouldn't it have
did
been
that
cool?
did that go up?
I guess the movie's coming out, so now would be the time.
I've been literally texting everybody, the Screen Digs people every day. When's this going up? And they're like, soon, my child.
Yeah,
Soon. I'm really sorry, Sam. DJ is going to be so much closer. And the sweat is pouring down my nose.
lean back,
and it's
just lean
pushing.
back.
You're disguising it well. You're
I'm
disguising
literally
it well.
trying to go like
You're
this. Now my
disguising it well.
jawline is on fleek in this video.
You're going to see so many angles. But, like I was saying, this is the show where we watch and review all the superhero TV shows we have to watch, but specifically during our Twitch stream, that's from 4 to 5, boys and girls. We're going to be talking about Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow. Those are the big three, and we're very excited to. There are a lot of good episodes this week. And but if you guys want to join us at 5 over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, you can, because we're going to be talking about Black Lightning, Legends of Tomorrow, and Titans.
And my really cool story.
And a very good story. You're not going to want to miss it because we've got a lot of really, really good stories for you, kids and cats. But you know what? Let's kick it off with the show that starts it out for us for the week on Sundays. Let's talk about Supergirl.
Yes, and so you have a summary for this episode.
I do.
You know what, man? I'm going to read it for you.
This is
All right,
for
wait,
the
hit that
people
button, actually.
overseas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there you go.
It's for the UK people and everywhere who doesn't know what we're talking about. Also, I look down on all of you.
There you go.
Not you people, not just the people in this room. I look down on you guys.
Literally.
Oh,
literally.
interesting. And you're calling them you people. All right, season 4, episode 3, The Man of Steel. The story of how Ben Lockwood became Agent Liberty is told. So
It's interesting that's straight up what they say because it felt like the show was trying to play close to the vest. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like, well, it's the same World War, so we know. I mean, he's Agent Liberty. We
Yeah.
know. We know what it is.
Here's the thing, though. Remember being... I actually feel like, DJ, this never was you. And Sam, it might have been you, and it definitely was me. When I was like a 13-year-old kid growing up, watching TV, and your favorite character would die, and you would have no idea they were going to die because you didn't look into any of this stuff.
Yeah.
If you didn't know who Sam Witwer was, and you didn't know that he had been cast, and you didn't
100%.
know what was going on, which is 95% of the world that's watching the show, then you have no idea.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
100%
really dope.
true. That's 100% true.
But hey, you know what? Backing up a little bit, at the beginning of this episode, we do flash forward to present day, and we do find out that they've gassed Kara with kryptonite.
They've gassed the entire planet Earth with kryptonite.
I mean, we did this with lead before,
Yeah.
which is 100% poisonous to people, but we're going to pretend that didn't happen. So this is now kryptonite, and we now know why she gets the suit, but she's not looking so good. And so during this episode, while she's sleeping...
Yeah, well, she's taking while
right,
she's
let's
off
be
filming the
fair.
crossover.
100%.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. But here's what always like crushes me on these shows. Not a bad way, but when you say she's not looking so good, she's looking extremely good.
Oh, yeah.
She's laying there with perfect makeup, like
Perfect curls.
The
Yeah.
way that her face is, she's looking perfect.
Yeah.
Things are looking up.
But
for her.
she does have CG
doing this
green
for you,
veins,
Sam.
so therefore not doing so hot.
Not doing so hot. So the rest of the episode we spend with, like we said, Sam Witwer, a.k.a. Ben Lockwood. And man, that dude is a handsome man. I've met him once before, and I gotta brag for a second. He looked at me and he said, Sam! And I was like, he's probably just saying his name out loud. And then he gave me a handshake, and I was like...
How do you know you?
He was dating a friend of mine at the time, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Just like
he's
he was
really
super
attractive,
nice.
and I honestly think a majority of the reason this episode works is because of his abilities as an actor.
Yeah,
Echo Spider, that is Doomsday from Smallville. That
is Doomsday. Also, I don't know if you guys had this thought, but this is where my brain goes. It's like he'd make a really good TV Batman. For the CW shows,
and
I think
what's interesting about that is, I see him so much more as a Superman.
I take it. I take it. Yeah.
I met him before also.
And he was so mean. No, okay.
No, he's a doll. He was doing the Showdown, the movie trivia Showdown.
Nice.
Because he is like the most knowledgeable Star Wars person that there is.
Well, and now he's basically Darth Maul.
Yeah, so
he's Darth Maul in the cartoons, and he voiced him in Solo.
Not basically, he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he had 2 games that his face, that face,
which
is
by
the main
way,
character.
Tangent. I wish that character was canon involved because I think that character is cool from Force Unleashed.
Starkiller.
Yeah, I think he's a cool.
Like that,
I think he's a cool character.
Yeah.
But anyway,
having Star in your name as a character is just such goals.
Mm-hmm. What about Lockwood though? That's Ben Lockwood though is I think the same name of the character from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I'm like, in one universe he becomes a mad scientist that makes food rain from the universe, and then in one he becomes a racist.
so in this episode, it does a really tricky thing because this is the origin of Agent Liberty, and they do this really interesting start where he starts off really relatable. Like he's a dude. And his dad's super racist, and but
whose isn't?
But he's a decent guy.
Mine.
And as the episode, and then we see our heroes we see less than positive aspects of them. You know what I mean? And then as the episode goes on, there's like a crisscross where he crosses the line into villainy, but it takes a majority of the episode for him to get there. And for the most part, even when he's being negative, there's a part of you that's like, oh, God, somebody just take this guy out for a beer and talk to him. He just needs somebody to fucking talk to.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys, this is the main question I had from watching this. Did you guys feel bad for him?
You can feel bad for parts of what happened to him. You can empathize with what happened.
Personally, I 100% feel bad for him until maybe a little bit before he started murdering people. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, well, you can't do anything about this now. But for me, even to the point where when he goes to confront that student, which is 100% not okay. And
I wasn't smiling about that. Someone had something funny in the chat.
Are you talking about at the bar, or are you talking about in the classroom?
Both not okay. At this point, he's pretty much going off the deep end. But when he's confronting her, there's still part of me. It's just like he's just super scared and basically he's sick on it. He's emotionally poisoned. And so when Supergirl confronts him, and I think actually this episode is the best example, the best like treatise for Supergirl and Superman and this show's stance on like caring for people, even if they're bad, and like wanting to help them, even if they're bad, because there's still that sense of like if she just not that she would know this in any way, but if she just got him a beer and was like, hey man, let's talk your shit out because this isn't okay, he might turn around. He might end up being okay. He might this one particular person in that particular instance might become okay again.
That is true. I have such a hard time with this because it's so close to home for everybody for 2018. Yeah. I don't mean my home. I mean the planet that we live on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
our shared home.
It is. While if you take the extra time to explain things to people, some of them might turn around. It's also not people's responsibilities to continue to explain themselves why they were born the way they were born.
That's true. That is.
Bless you.
By the way, mad props that she kept the spider on her nose while coughing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Thank
you. Definitely. You're right about that. And they do an interesting thing where even though because I think the two standouts for me of our heroes not looking so great is when Martian Manhunter is like, you're saved, and then he flies away, and it's like,
and it's the most crazy house fire I've ever seen. Like what? How many pipes did he hit? And did he just throw a match down? And he was like, ah.
And that's what makes this episode cool because Martian Manhunter doesn't look great there, but he's in the middle of a global. What is he supposed to do? So you can kind of see both sides. The other one that personally hurt, I felt more, is when Alex immediately just assumes that this guy is a bad dude.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
the
I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button.
Gotcha.
When Alex, when she's working on him, and she immediately just assumes that he's one of the racist people, even though he's trying to break it up, and it's like, it's really discouraging because it's like when you're like, I was just trying to
If
help.
they're
Why
gonna
would you
look at
just
me as the bad guy,
Yeah.
then I might as well be the bad guy. Kind
exactly?
Of mentality,
And but as it goes on, those are the seeds that kind of deteriorate him. But stuff that he starts blaming on them, he's projecting because it's decisions he made. Like even when he's like, "They killed my dad." Your dad specifically said he went to that factory to die. Your dad killed himself.
Yeah.
And even though his you understand the reason he's making,
But it's your dad,
he's wrong.
so you can't.
Yeah, he's
you
wrong.
can't.
And then like you start and I think that's what makes it really compelling is, God forbid any of us ever do it on this level, but I think on small scale we project our stuff onto other people sometimes.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes it scary.
Honestly, overall, for me, the only reason this works is because of Sam Witwer, because this story could have been really poisonous. Like, it could have been like, let's empathize with him. But you're right. There's a point where in the crossroads where like he becomes a full villain. Like he is a bad person
I think
now.
if
It's when
there's
he's
any
attacking
doubt,
people in public.
when he straight up seeks somebody out and then murders that person, it's like, well, yeah, this guy's basically irredeemable.
Yeah,
Let me ask
he's a
you-
domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there would have been less dislike for this episode had it taken place over 5 episodes or 10 episodes where we were getting flashbacks throughout of what had been happening to him instead of focusing so concentrated on why we should understand where he's coming from in 1 hour or 42 minutes?
No, I think this is all we need, and we can move forward from there because it seems like this is probably a smaller story.
I'm saying instead of this way.
And getting it spread out. No, I like them focusing, and you just get it. He is a main character, so he's going to get an episode where you can understand where he's coming from. I don't see him lasting very long, though.
Yeah,
on the show.
I feel like he doesn't feel like he's going to be the big bad of the season, especially with rumors that they're going to cast Lex and all that stuff.
Yeah, and also Russian
I don't think
Supergirl
it's a rumor.
is.
Yeah, that's true. She's what?
Is that rumor?
No, that's
Oh no, it is happening.
Yeah,
Sorry.
happening, yeah.
I think Roxy, to answer your question, I think this episode would have gotten less pushback if it didn't ask you to not even relate to this guy, just perceive him as a human. Because I think we want to see the bad guys in our lives as just ciphers, basically, like irredeemable, whatever. And the problem, I think, when you're, and also to be fair, Supergirl is not typically a very subtle or nuanced show.
Right.
And I think that's the challenging stuff of the world we live in. That even people that we really don't like are also people. You know what I mean? And even if you don't agree with their fears, it comes from an honest place. And maybe if you don't help somebody fix that, there's no progress to be had.
Yeah, but also he needs to be held responsible for his own actions.
Especially now. Yeah, especially at this point.
What is the deal in the comics? Because I don't know, with his son. Is he a character, the boy that we saw?
I'm going to be honest. My understanding of the character, I don't know of him as a family, and I thought he was a good guy in the comics. Agent of Liberty. My only experience, I clearly remember a trading card I had as a kid of his character, and that's basically most of my only exposure to that guy.
No,
so I don't know anything about the son. Yeah, I don't know anything about the son.
I felt so awful for how, like, that's what stood out to me most in this episode, how we raise our kids.
Yeah.
And when the kid calls one of the aliens a cockroach, and I was like, this is what happens.
Yeah. And at that point, it's not even the dad, it's the grandfather.
And it's the school.
Yeah.
He's like, I heard it all over at school.
Yeah.
It matters how you grow up.
It is. It's interesting how it really, there's a way that you could perceive this as basically almost a social disease. You know what I mean? And so how do you inoculate a social disease? You know? And I don't know if there is any clear answers, and I honestly don't think Supergirl's the one I think maybe that's more, I like this episode. I do, because Supergirl's not the most nuanced show in the world. Engaging with this going forward, it could be challenging. But also, as Sam Witwer's such a good actor that I think I have faith in his performance and where they could take the character.
But you're right, and but they did do a really good job when it came to the coming out story. When it came to Alex, they did do that over a couple episodes, and it's not nuanced, but they still did it I thought it was respectfully, and it felt realistic for the most part. I've never come out, so I don't know what that's like, but I appreciated the way that they told that story and made me fully understand it. And with this story, while he is a bad person and he should, be punished for those things because we live in a society and that's what this is bad and you should be punished. there is a part of him that like maybe could be rehabilitated.
I do see a version of this where he pulls the classic like, I'm the bad guy, and he dies taking out the bigger bad guys.
Yeah, and then
I could see that
then
too.
you move on, and it's like, and then you can still have a conversation of should you have turned him into a hero, even though clearly he is a villain. It's like, I don't know, have that conversation though.
It is interesting when bringing that up. I because it's so 2018, it's so close to 2018. We've had villain. Magneto has become a good guy how many times, and he's murdered so many people.
Yeah,
Even
yes.
in X-Men Apocalypse, he literally is part of basically a genocide, and then by the end of the movie, he's like, "Hey, we're cool, right?" But a character like this, it's like, I don't know if you could have a guy like this join just because it's so close to home. Almost like you're struggling with Gambi. Yeah,
Gambi and Black Light, same thing. It's like, no, wait, this is
and
an
that was
actual...
in the past. We didn't even see that happen in the show.
Yeah.
But that was that's a real thing based on real problems, and it's like,
it's tough.
And I'm like, you know what, bold move. And well, Black Lightning does do a better job when it comes to social issues and talking about things. So by the time, like, it basically, if the main characters can move past it, not move past, they can accept it and just kind of move. I guess move past is the way to say it, but it's like I can kind of too. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you still kind of have like, that's an awful thing you did. And so, and maybe there isn't a way that Sam Witwer's character, Ben Lockwood, I'm going to keep saying Sam Witwer because it's more fun to say.
It's a fun
maybe
name.
there isn't a way he comes back, and maybe he doesn't have to, but if they did, it would make a pretty interesting conversation. Hopefully Supergirl can handle it. Don't do gun violence again. I know they're going to. You don't know how to do it. You can do a lot lot of things
Better
really
than
well.
Arrow did.
No, they fixed it.
You don't get it.
Arrow
Arrow
fixed. We just need
Good
that
point.
team. We
Good
just need that team, those characters to tackle climate change. They'll have it knocked out in a day.
And by 2040, we'll actually be okay. Good
Boom.
point.
Loki is pretty up there. He didn't invade New York.
Yeah, but it's interesting because that stuff is abstract to us, and this is like, even though he's dealing with a spiked arm person, and that's the other stuff that gets kind of complicated because when you're dealing with aliens, they legit like. They have spike arms and they have stuff, so it's not a perfect metaphor, but it's just I think it'll be interesting to see where they go. But this episode in particular, I liked.
Me too. More importantly, bits for Roxy having a spider still on her nose.
How long have we been running?
You're doing pretty
So
good.
it's 16 minutes here since we started recording.
Just saying.
I'm trying to read actually the Plaid Menace in the chat. Hey now, hold on. I don't think Agent Liberty is bad. He's motivated by want to do good, but he's doing bad things. It's not as clear cut as him being a bad guy, except for he did murder someone.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
think
the part where and he hunted down that one woman.
Yeah, he killed great actress from The Good Place, so that's irredeemable.
Oh yeah,
even though she is a demon on that show.
She is.
No, but that's the thing. If you are trying to do good, but you do bad, you're the bad guy. You know what I mean? And I think that's
Hitler was trying to do good.
I mean, yeah, like it's
in a more extreme, but
In a way more extreme way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you asked Hitler, he was trying to save the human race.
Yeah, and so the thing is, like, that's why we need to work together as a community and talk to each other. And it's.
I did want to read Pino in the Discord. I appreciated getting the origin/reveal quickly, so we don't have to spend all season trying to figure out who the big bad is. But I'm worried of the direction of Supergirl, where they're going. It seems like they're being really heavy-handed with their stance on politics so far.
I mean, that's Supergirl.
Yeah.
they're always. I don't know if I've ever wondered what Supergirl's stance is on the show, what its stance is on anything.
It is interesting though. That, and I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that I'm a pretty liberal person, but the CW DC TV shows take such liberal stances across the board on all of their shows, and there's a reason why. Say what you will about Roseanne, but why it did so incredibly well, because it is important to have representation of all different kinds of thought processes and whatnot, and to paint anybody who has conservative views as the bad like it's the first person we've seen on the show in a long time with conservative views. I'm not saying it's the conservative views that are a problem, but it is interesting that all of their shows, all of their lead characters are all liberal.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see someone tackle like that. I think the show that tackled it best was actually Parks and Rec, because the Leslie Ron dynamic, but then it took both of those characters to such a logical extreme that there was enough distance that I don't think anybody felt like attacked.
Oh, yeah.
There's also like an idealized version of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can like Leslie and you can like Ron because
which I did. I like both.
You like both, and you understand both of them when it comes to the argument. Like, I would never consider myself a libertarian in any way, but you're like, hey, the way he describes it,
if you're going to go on,
for him, it makes sense.
Yeah, if you're going to go on libertarian rants, then you should go pave people's roads too, like he did. So.
Yeah, you should be able to do that for free. That's easy. But anyway, speaking of politics, let's move on to Arrow.
Yeah.
We're in prison. Let's talk about that for a second.
We are in prison.
We are in prison along with Oliver Queen in episode 703, Crossing Lines. Still in prison, Oliver... I like that. Still in prison, Oliver faces his biggest challenge yet. Meanwhile, Felicity gets an intriguing offer, and Diggle asks Curtis to go undercover for Argus. All right,
What did you think of this whole level 2 thing?
Oh, by the way, we didn't rate Supergirl.
Oh.
8. Yeah, I give it an 8.
8.5 maybe because I like the story.
Yeah, I'm fine with an 8.
There you go. All right.
8-ish. So
also, really quick, Arrow, I swear I watched it, but I apparently just caught up with last
That's why
week.
I knew you hadn't, so I jumped in with a question to try to make you not have to say you didn't watch it, but then you said it anyway.
He fell on that sword himself.
Spider-Girl life.
I got that cool youth group guilt. I got to say all those sins up top. Go ahead, guys. What do we think of this?
Try being Jewish. We don't have to say any of that stuff.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the whole, like, get to level 2, you're on the wrong level, you've got to get to the bad place?
I mean, that's classic prison. I think there was a exact same plot point in Brawl in Cell Block 99. It's prison movie, classic prison movie. You got to get on the dangerous level. Although normally in prisons, when you go to that level, there's not much chit chat that happens there.
Yeah.
But I liked it because it got Bronze Tiger more involved, Michael J. White, and I like that actor and I like that character and I like that they're playing up kind of into the anti-hero stuff with him, which I'm a fan of.
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was afraid in the first episode when he gets put into solitary. I'm like, is that all we're getting of Michael J. White? And I'm glad that there's kind of like a subplot going on there.
And he also has zero. When he showed up in the first season of Arrow, it was just all of a sudden guy with claws showed up, and you're like, what? Okay, whatever. We never see him again. This is also
the second episode that we haven't had anybody in the Green Arrow costume. And I think the show has still been really solid so far this season. That's impressive.
What I did see and I liked is I did like them teaming up with the FBI agent. I actually really like that actress a lot, and I like the story.
Did you watch it?
Oh, I watched a good amount of it. I didn't finish it though.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Wait. Maybe I did. Never mind.
Although
I'm not going to keep
weird.
thinking about it.
Speaking of these shows and their stances, it is weird whenever a show like this starts going into like, this is why vigilantism is important and the law doesn't work. And I'm like, you know what, maybe just because the real world implications. The real world implications on this show, it makes sense because we want Green Arrow to go out and do Green Arrow things.
Right.
Real world implications. It makes me really uncomfortable when we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Do you think there will ever be superheroes, like superpowers?
No, because there's people. Well, I mean, if you had powers, maybe, because there are real people that dress up in costume, and it turns out if you just wander around, you're not going to stumble across the crime to stop.
Not powers necessarily, but like Batman, Iron Man kind of superheroes.
There are people who roam the streets. There are real superheroes.
No, but I mean like super suit.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that.
Phoenix Jones has got a bulletproof
No,
suit.
but if you're talking about like flying around armor, they're definitely selling that to the military, and we might get soldiers with enhanced abilities, and cops with enhanced abilities, which you're like, hey, that sounds scary. And it's like, yeah, it probably will be scary.
Gareth McMurray says, are you saying that I shouldn't shoot people with arrows in the street?
Yeah, please, actually don't.
Scoot, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say I was looking forward to that because that makes me sound like a terrorist, man. That's bad. That's a criminal. Don't do that.
Felicity's gone rogue, guys.
She's
just
pink hair going rogue.
The end of the episode, it was kind of mixed for me because it doesn't...
I'm bad at it.
It doesn't
my head it worked.
It doesn't make Felicity look good, and they're clearly setting up her on an arc because clearly the show doesn't think her decision's good by taking Silencer captive. However, it does make Silencer more important, and I'm a fan of that character in the comics. Mm-hmm. So just like it looks like we're putting Bronze Tiger in a little more elevated position, putting Silencer in a more elevated position, I'm all for.
I also like how they've been auditorily showing Silencer, and like when anytime the fight scenes like. And it kind of
that underwater
really
feeling.
Cool.
It makes you. I saw one of them where is this the episode where they're like, oh wait, she's using a signal to block it from the cameras or something like that. Silencer was using that. Something like that. So I did see that part, and I got to see another fight. I really like the way they make those fights. Well, it also since they can't do like the gross sound effects, you're like, oh, these fights actually have to be really, really good. To
exactly.
Make this look good.
Yeah. The choreography has to be on point. The camera work has to be. It's actually more challenging to do that, and so far they've been doing a really good job.
Echo Spider's asking, is that the same same silencer from the current DC comics, as far as we can tell. Yeah, and she's a brand new character.
They even call her honor guest. Yeah, so it is that character. She was just made for the comics.
Pinho in the chat. I honestly have never liked Felicity. She was fine as the hacker girl, but once she started taking a romantic role, I feel like all of her stories are just annoying. I don't think that she's going anywhere as long as Arrow airs, though, due to her connections. But yeah, out of all the villains they could have used to be a multi. I lost my place. Anyways, Diaz.
They're not a fan of Diaz getting the multi-season season arc.
Why?
But again, I don't think he's the big bad of the season, and also he just exists as he's just an excuse to have things happen. Like it's not like we're dealing with a big Diaz arc. You know what I mean?
What about the quadrant? You guys missed the quadrant?
I liked the idea of the quadrant.
And it was actually just 4 people in a room. And they're like, this is the 4 crime bosses. I'm like,
I didn't even know what you were talking about for a second.
I don't know if it's called the quadrant, but I felt like that felt as cool as it was.
That seems about right.
Seems about right. I think Diaz is leading to Intergang, which would be really cool.
I love Felicity's character, and I get what they're saying. I'm
a Felicity guy too, so
there was a little bit there where I was frustrated with how they did make her Oliver's love interest and like pine over him, and when she would see him, remember when she'd be like, abs. I mean, hi. You know.
To be fair, if he's on the salmon ladder, that's what my brain did too. So I get it, but
I miss him doing.
I see what you're saying. I know, right?
Yeah.
Why don't they have one installed in the prison?
Well, he hasn't done for a little because once he became producer, he was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore.
Why? So. I think he like ripped a muscle in his arm last year. So. I guess he's not.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm sorry. He has to be a big baby.
But I really do feel like she has so much more purpose now, and especially like after adopting his kid, and now like having vengeance plans, and she's pretty badass, and she is so smart and such a great hacker that I understand what you're saying. They lost me a little bit on her at some point, but now I'm totally back into her.
It's interesting that like. I don't know. I like what the season is doing so far. Like putting Oliver in prison has made his situation much more harrowing because he doesn't have all the stuff to pull from, and it also allows the other characters to step up their game because they don't have to play second fiddle to him. You know what I mean? So in a weird way, I feel like this is an ideal scenario. Also, no flashbacks this episode, which I was perfectly fine with.
You don't like where?
It's not that I don't like it.
Not
it's
flashbacks.
that
it's flash forwards.
It's that I don't really care that much.
But they're gonna see future versions of all your favorite characters.
No, I don't care about that either. Can we talk a little bit about
people here.
Diggle and Lila in this episode, and Lila deciding to lie to Diggle about
with the paint salesman?
Haven't they had this exact same argument at least once a season?
Over and over. Also, this could be really insensitive because I just don't remember. You guys know I watch a lot of these. Is their kid still alive?
Yeah,
he's still
we
alive.
see him in this episode. He's the one.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, he's trying to interrogate him about like eating candy.
Oh
or
yeah!
something.
Oh wow, he aged.
Yeah.
That's
what happens. That's what happens.
Connor Hawk, my dudes.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Do you think we'll get him in the flash
Oreo
forwards?
situation?
Why not?
Have they flash
we
forward
did.
enough? We got him on Legends.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not Hellscape. Star City. Hopefully it's okay.
Oliver looked cool with the old man beard and the robot arm.
Is he the same age as?
Oh, now you do want to see the older versions of the characters.
What's Oliver's kid's name? Ben.
Will.
Yeah.
Why do I always do that? Are Will and Connor the same age?
No, Will's older by like a decade.
In this?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
Because he was born in the flashbacks, like 10 years before Oliver came back.
Wait, how is this possible? Oliver's kid, Will.
Yeah.
And Diggle's kid.
Yeah.
Because Diggle had
They look the same age. On these shows?
Yeah.
No. You didn't know the kid was in this episode, so I'm not trusting you.
He was the one who ate all the Oreos.
Yeah. I could go for
You
Oreos
think they're 10 years apart? Are you being serious?
Yeah.
They are supposed to be a little bit.
Will is in high school, and Diggle
Will
Jr.
is in high school? Pull up a picture.
Will is like a tween.
No way.
Jay said disagree.
If Will is like 12, you're saying Connor's 2?
Will is 14.
Connor is not. Is John Diggle Jr. here?
Yeah.
He was born in season 3.
John Diggle Jr. looks about 10.
No, he looked about 5.
Nah. Yeah, see, 5. Junior high-ish. I don't know. Everyone's saying different ages now.
Anyway,
but besides that,
Diggle's kid's like 7.
How bad do you guys want a Silencer solo show?
I don't need more solo shows.
No,
I wouldn't mind her
I
being a
don't want that
supporting
at all.
character on this.
No, I was talking to you. I'm ignoring you guys now. I'm talking to you guys out there.
I do love that she's on this show.
Well, how about this? Throw up this asset really quick. How about do you want a Brick solo TV show?
I'm glad he's back.
He's a great actor. I really like Vinnie Jones.
I
He's a
my
nice
favorite
guy.
comment that ever happened. Lena, or something. Sorry, Lena. I am sorry. Plot twist: Roxy has never seen a child before.
Children below the age of
How do you say
anyone
that
below
person's
18.
name?
Iana.
Oh,
Iana. Yeah.
True story. I met somebody the other day who was working, and he was sweeping up the floor where I get my hair cut.
Yeah, and he was 6.
And I thought he was like at least 25. And I turned to him, we were talking, and it came out that he was born in 2002. And he's 16. I looked at him and I said, "You're the youngest person I ever met."
Ever.
He looked at me and was like, "What?"
It's
I don't
again.
know how to tell you what I meant by that.
Again, it was impressive she could read that. We do need to see if we get her some glasses. Just we'll get her the frame.
We've
She'll
got
buy the lenses.
Yeah, we've got the sponsors to do
I
it.
know. Simple Contacts, guys. Reach out. Warby Parker, come on. We need to get
I
some
love
glasses.
Warby Parker.
I know.
There we go. We
see?
got the setup
hey,
there.
Thank you to our lovely host tonight, Austin Dodge and Sush. All right. It says in the chat right there.
It's for Spider-Girl.
We're going to talk about Flash coming up next, but before we do that, what would you guys rate this episode of Arrow?
Of Arrow.
7.5.
Interesting.
I gave Supergirl an 8, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I like that episode more than this, even though I did like this episode. Can
That's
I give
what
it?
just happened
Can
for
I
me,
give it
too.
also an 8 for different reasons?
There you go. Preface it. So there you go.
No.
They're different. I like it equally, but for different
No, you
reasons.
can't, sir.
I like the brawl between him and wrestling guy in the cage match. It looked like tables
Yeah.
propped up at an angle.
Oh, Gareth McMurray writes, I looked it up. John Thomas J.J. Diggle Jr., born November 2014, is the son of John Diggle and Lila Michaels in the post-Flashpoint timeline. In a possible future, in 2046, he goes by the name Connor Hawke and operates as the new Green Arrow.
Wait.
Right.
So he's
2046. Is he like? Was he supposed to be 30 in that flash forward?
It's about 20 in that flash.
Yeah. And see, now I'm confused.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's go to a show that's a little bit easier to digest. Flash.
Let's go to a show that's never confusing about timelines. Not once ever.
Let's talk
Oh,
about
boy.
Flash.
Let's talk about Flash, baby.
So, full disclosure.
No!
Whoa, the spider.
Oh, but you
fell.
made it 31 minutes. So
Ooh! That's what we do. Get some bits in for that. She nailed
Sorry to everybody's
it.
ears that just freaked out.
You're welcome for that.
So,
Oh God.
full disclosure.
Oh boy, meta.
Slid so hard.
Full
Wait,
disclosure.
they didn't even see it because we were on.
Yeah, we're off this thing. Yeah. Full disclosure. I did not watch this episode.
Well, here you go. Here's your summary for it. It's episode 504, Newsflash. Barry and Iris face the ultimate parenting test when Team Flash battles Spin, a savvy millennial armed with metatech.
Wow, that
and
sounded
a
awful.
dangerous agenda for their daughter, Nora. Ralph is feeling defeated until an unlikely source issues a challenge to help boost his confidence.
Can I tell you something? I did watch this episode. Who's Spin?
That's, I guess, what her name is.
The one with the
hot girl,
one?
the one we were talking
Her
about.
name is Spin?
Spin.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
she
gonna-
puts a spin on a story.
The
I'm
girl
gonna
that
be
goes
honest.
against Iris, who has the phone. Who called her Spin?
That synopsis.
Yeah, so here's
didn't
what I'm going to
happen.
say. As somebody
Okay.
that didn't watch the episode, Team Flash battles Spin, a savvy millennial armed with metatech. I was like, ooh, I know you both enjoyed it, so I'm ready to be sold. But just that log line, I'm like, no, don't need any of that.
It's kind of
Did
cool.
you guys just lose audio completely?
What? Did you lose audio completely?
Yeah. Oh,
just-
now I'm back.
yeah, you
Oh,
probably
sorry,
just-
I'm leaning
oh,
on your
yeah,
headphone
yeah,
jack.
yeah.
Sorry.
You
Gotcha.
guys didn't wince, and I was like, either they're playing through real hard,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
No, I like this episode a lot. The Spin is fun because she will write an article, she'll post it, but whoever's involved with it will get hypnotized and they'll go make it happen.
They have to read it to know?
Yes.
Okay.
so
Flash reads it and he
that
runs.
feels like too many steps to properly
No, she
hypnotize
goes
person.
like this. Tella, throw! And then it goes over to a screen and someone reads it and they all do it.
can I make a unrelated comment to what you guys are talking about? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't listening. Okay, thank you.
That's a bad listening skills.
This is how I feel when I'm watching the shows. I'm still stuck on something. So I will say that this was one of my favorite LGBTQ depictions that's ever been on TV because Nora has a big crush on who was apparently named Spin.
Yeah, do we have a picture of Spin?
Well, probably. We have the. There she
Yeah, there
is.
she is.
There she is.
Who, by the way, like, whatever side of the aisle you're on, you have to think this girl's a dime piece because damn. But I love that Iris is this girl's arch nemesis, and Iris sees that Nora has a crush on Spin, and Iris, the mom of Nora, does not stop to be like, does that mean you're gay? Mm-hmm. She just says, oh, honey, don't have a crush on that one. She's a bad girl. Like, whatever it was. And I was like, I cannot wait until we live in a world where you don't have to effing have a conversation if you're gay with somebody. And you could just be gay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, like, I thought that was so cool. We've seen it. They did do a great job with Alex Danvers' storyline, absolutely. And that is more realistic what it looks like today, I think. Yeah. But I just thought that was so cool. Like, we saw her have a crush on a girl, and Iris was like, oh, dude, not that girl. Yeah. And
what Iris doesn't know is that the bad girls are where it's at.
That's where it's at. Someone in
now
the
we
chat.
Can talk about whatever you guys were doing.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Well, Metatech, Kayla Marie 033. There's def a meta car out there. Gimme. And what's that one Hanna-Barbera car? Zoom Buggy? What's his name?
Son of a bitch! You could make a meta car, and I'd actually be way into that.
Well, what's that car called? The buggy one.
Yeah.
How could you make a meta car?
How could you make a metaphone? How could you make?
Is that like megaphone?
No, it's what she had. It's what her thing was. It was a metaphone. It doesn't make any sense. It's like
her name's Spin.
Possible spoiler. I wonder if the reason for her choosing this to suppress Nora's powers is something to do with the impulse from the comics, i.e., growing up, she moves too fast for her body to cope or something.
That cool. might be like so it's not like a nefarious mom thing. It's no.
Sorry, I know I'm all over the place here, but whatever that buggy is from Hanna-Barbera that talks and goes
what about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Do you remember?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Does anybody remember when
Herbie
Flash crossed over with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang
or Herbie Fully Loaded?
Huh.
Lindsay Lohan.
Can you name one of the other Herbie movies?
Yeah, Herbie Back in Action.
Is that one?
That's Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Okay.
You go to Walmart.
I would have bought it.
Speed Buggy. Thank you, Zrawl13.
I think that this storyline was really, really dope about the Iris, her Nora being mad.
Yeah.
And I love Barry being like, if you did this, you had a reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he not even skipping a beat, supports his wife.
Yeah, and I thought that was so cool because this show could have had him not because it would have been more dramatic. And that's usually the direction these shows go.
And honestly, it would have been kind of in character for the Barry.
Yeah, exactly. But I just like that he was like, dude, if you did this, you did it because of something.
By the way, we should mention there is a scene where we do see Joe standing up. He's leaning against a door frame.
Oh, and also we have...
Yeah,
and he's
the
pregnant.
news is that he actually biffed it hard and hurt his back really bad over the summer between filming. And so that's why...
True?
That's why he's been sitting down. He's probably going to take a leave of absence from the show for a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait, what did he do?
It fell on his back. I'm not really sure.
Like walking?
Yeah, and he's an old man, so he obviously wasn't like doing something that was probably necessarily dangerous.
I mean, he might have been mountain climbing. We don't know.
We don't know.
Hey, you just call him an old man?
He's an old man.
He's like 40.
We considered he's old man. He's
hold on.
Yeah, dude, we'll do the math really quick.
I think he's honestly like 52.
I say 63.
No way is he in his 60s.
I'm going to say in the last episode when he was being tortured by Cicada, he looked like he was in his 60s.
You guys are crazy.
Let's take a look.
Jesse L. Martin?
Jesse L. Martin.
Who would have guessed that we would have talked this much about people's ages in this episode?
I mean, I would. Well, anybody who's ever watched the show knows that we like to figure out people's ages.
All right, well, what's his age?
Hi, Chitty Low Chitty.
49. He's a young man.
I guess
not young,
but you know what I mean.
He's older.
But you just straight up said he's an old man.
He's older.
He's in his 40s.
You just said he was 62.
He's on his way out of his 40s. Hey,
but you said 62.
Anyways, we played softball this episode, and then someone tried to blow up the stands. All right, and you had the Flash running to Las Vegas, which was fun.
Yeah,
and I liked Iris.
This is why I can't stand. I take things as fact, and I'm so gullible. Davey in the chat says he was 50 when he was in Law and Order. That's not true.
Yeah, that's 100% not true.
He's not 50 today. So you can't just say that.
He's Merlin. He ages backwards.
Was his character 50 on that show? Let us know. Damn, I'm 50. Garth, salute you, man. Thanks for joining us.
You did this. Garth, I called you young. I said you were a spring chicken, Garth.
Is the Flash bad at sports on purpose? Is he pretending to be bad? Yes, he is pretending to be bad, Echo Spider. And I like that because before he got his powers, he was bad. Yeah. So he can't change that now, but he still wants to play softball. And he's like, can you just let me play a little closer? He's like, no, right field. He's like, you. And so he has to play like he's bad at softball, which I thought was kind of fun. I like that.
Also, there's a fun conversation about that in Spider-Man: The Heist DLC between Peter Parker and Miles.
Was anybody get a little
with basketball.
confused on when the guy with the bomb walked onto the field? And
I was super confused because I didn't watch this episode.
And everybody was like, he's not doing, oh my God, something's wrong. Why did they think something was wrong?
Because he wasn't stopping. They were like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? And he just kept walking and walking and walking. Also, it's a police function. You would be nervous.
But he's a cop?
Yeah, you'd be nervous, though.
If it was a cop?
I'm nervous by cop. I get nervous around people who are walking, and I'm like, hey, buddy, where are you going? And if they're walking straight towards something.
I don't think other cops are nervous about cops.
Maybe it's the Halloween episode and we didn't know it, and they were a little nervous.
That's a good point.
You know what? Thanks. Oh, Cecile's mind powers were actually useful in this. They're like, she yelled like, "Hey, that dude!" Oh, that's why they got nervous. It was because she yelled. She was like, "He has a bomb." Because she was
that was with her mind powers.
That was her mind powers. Also, she had her baby there, so like it was. I liked. You saw you had Joe confronting him later. He was like, "My daughter was there." My son was there? Question mark. Yeah. And my wife and my baby are there.
We can't keep doing that.
I know we can't do that, but they like I like his interaction with that cop, and he felt really guilty, and I like that entire story. No, the episode as a whole was really cool. I kind of wish instead of doing the meta tech, it was the Thinker's like virus, because we saw a computer version of him for like a split second. If that's what was inside of her phone, I thought that would have been more interesting. Like he infects the internet.
Yeah. I could see that.
He infects the internet.
I'm still stuck on nepotism. I mean, incest.
Incest.
Incest is wincest.
Nepotism's fun.
I don't love it because none of my family is a big producer or anything, but it's fine. Incest, not fine.
Not fine, yeah. But it's, adopted, so gross. Anywhoozles.
Is that legal?
It's not illegal. That's
Kids
all I can say. Yeah.
Kids at home.
So don't get any ideas, though. It's
and
a weird storyline.
Supergirl, too.
Ew.
On all these CW shows. Don't worry about it.
But what did you guys think of Sherlock from Echo Spider? I actually really liked Ralph and Sherlock's storyline. Having them work together, they're both detectives.
Yeah.
And show that Ralph's capable. And I like that, like, let's do the angle of, like, what is this mask? It's obviously it's the thing we used to identify Cicada in the first place.
Yeah.
We knew that he was responsible for this, so let's see if we can identify what this is. And for the most part, we just kind of found out that everybody... it's in most factories.
So I have a question because I watched last week's episode after you guys talked about it because you guys sold me on it.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you guys think about Sherlock being the Wells of the season and also the fact that he has a French accent?
He has an accent.
He doesn't have a French one.
But is it supposed to be French?
Oh, bonjour. Oh, welcome to,
Okay.
You
like
know
that.
when you go to
Literally
brunch with someone and they're like, I want to order a crepe. And you're like, you can call it a crepe. That's fine. You don't need to be like that.
It's like a little Asian at times, a little European at times, and a
little country, little
American.
Roll.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about it? What do you think about this being the Wells of the season? If he is.
I think he could be the Wells for the next 6 episodes.
Okay.
Without me being seriously concerned.
Y'all are cowards. I hope we get him for 3 seasons. He'll be great. I actually really liked him. I enjoyed the character.
You're a coward.
I like the idea.
I am not. I am brave, and I'm standing by this man.
I'm brave.
I like the idea of a Wells that isn't science smart, but is more detective stuff. It helps him deal with Ralph. I like that setup. I don't like that his name is Sherlock, and I don't like the accent. I don't hate the accent. I just don't think we need it for more than 1 episode.
You're cowards, every single one of you. Doubtful, thank you for subscribing. Tier 1 sub, big fan, appreciate it. It helps the channel out. But no, overall, I'm fine with him. And I did like, by the end of the episode, you do have a cool scene where Sherlock's like, we're not going to do this because it's not important.
Yeah.
Like, in every time I've solved this, the mask's not important in any way of figuring this out. But in this case, it is. They actually go to...
It's a different person.
It's a different person. And I like at the end, he acknowledges, you know what, this isn't even my call. Like, Ralph is right. This is a good angle.
My favorite thing ever. You were right, and I was less right.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
Proud
good.
person.
I'm gonna start using that.
Because everyone wins in that scenario. I am brave. Sam. Thank
I'm
you.
brave.
Put that on a shirt.
Hashtag so brave. Me.
A lot of
Roxy.
people.
Hashtag Sam Cheese.
A lot of people agree with you guys. They don't want Sherlock for that long. And guess what? Everyone here's a liar.
Bits for Spider.
Do we think Cicada is going to still be the big bad of the whole season, or do you think we're going to do a switcheroo like with what's his face in season 3?
Well, they're definitely doing a slow burn on him, so I wouldn't be surprised if at least he was the big bad till mid-season.
I like the serial killer angle. I kind of hope they. I don't know. We'll see.
We have a comment in the chat says Reverse is coming, and Reverse Flash. They're
bringing them
How
back
come
for
you
the
never
100th
give
episode,
credit?
right?
There you go.
Why don't you give credit to the people who say the comments?
Well, you can read that one out loud if you wanted to. I just didn't want to. Go ahead, can you read it because of your glasses? It's the Disabled Nerd 007. There you go. I wanted
007.
No,
I read it.
Sorry, I just didn't know if that was a joke or not or whatever. So, anyways, thank you for the comment. But plot twist: the evil speedster's Iris from the future. Can you imagine? Please don't do that. You already did that with Barry, and
Iris
I
also don't need more evil speedsters.
No speedsters.
No speedsters. No speedsters. But
what would you guys rate this episode?
DJ, you go first.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 7.5 type episode. That's the bless you.
Bless you.
Whoa.
That's what I'm getting from you guys.
I actually think it's an 8. I think it was just as good as our best of the week.
Okay.
I'd give it an 8 as well because of just entertainment value. It was.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun watching it. I did want to read a comment really quick. From the Discord.
We didn't even talk about Nora and Barry's fight. That was really interesting.
It was a good fight between in the stadium. They actually
it was well choreographed.
Yeah,
they both got some good licks in.
She also
No, he got none in.
Yeah, he didn't get any,
It
but
was so
she
good until you said that.
does try to grind up his heart, and he just vibrates his chest, and it's
no, so Excess versus Flash.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Because she's been like tricked by the spinster.
by the spin by Mrs. Spin.
They didn't say it once. You
Lady
can't
Spin.
just give her a name.
Sam's favorite, she spin.
She's there's man spin, and then lady.
Would you
spin.
be okay? So there's man thing. Would you be okay if there's a she thing?
Well, if it's man, wouldn't it be a woman thing?
No, it's all dumb. All of it. Just name it a thing. Just call it thing at that point.
The thing?
Yeah,
It's a movie.
and it's a character.
You're a character.
Thank you. I like to be. Characters welcome. That's the USA Network.
This is something about Sam. He named his son one thing, and then he changed his son's name
To two things.
And that's not. It's not legitimate to just change your son's name all of a sudden.
As a father, I can do whatever I please. This is Douglas. Say hi to Douglas, everyone.
And it used to be Danny.
I do.
Phantom.
Catherine right here says, I don't like present Iris defending herself in the future and basically telling Nora, I don't know why I did it, but obviously I was right for whatever reason. It was an interesting conversation because it was like, yeah, you're missing the point. And Nora got a good zinger in there where it's like, yeah, you can say that. Basically, Nora has to train Excess to not kill Barry.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if I can make this decision, I probably made the right decision in the future. And she's like, these two things are not related in any way. And they actually call it out, which I'm like, this could be really dumb writing, but it's a good scene where Iris is like trying to defend herself in a way that maybe she probably shouldn't.
We don't think that Nora knows why Iris actually did it.
She doesn't. No, because
so
it's only been 6 months since she got her abilities.
when we finally find that out, which I don't know if it will be this season, this half of the season, whatever, it better have been a good reason because otherwise I don't like the direction they're going.
I like the theory in the comments that it was something about that her metabolism was going too fast, so Iris actually did it to save her.
Yeah, but then why wouldn't she have told her about it?
Because maybe she would have wanted to take it out anyways, and maybe she didn't. Parents mess up, and I don't think it was a malicious thing.
What if Nora was killing small animals when she was a kid?
Oh, and really fast.
Really fast.
They were like, she was wiping out species.
Mom was like, no, this can't be happening. But anyway, we'll talk about that more next week.
What if there's like an entire hit on metas in the future? Like all metas are dying, and if you're a meta, you're getting
maybe they're in Zari future, which is not happy for people with abilities.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
But speaking of legends, we're going to be talking about that next over on our Patreon show.
Yeah, slay.
Can
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-beep-bop-a-day.
you do the scat man? On the scat man. You can't. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like this could go bad real quick. I think we should bail. I think we should bail on it.
You don't know it.
Hey, listen. I want to say
go,
all I
there
would
you
like
go,
to
there you
say
go.
is I want to thank everybody that's joining us here on Patreon. to discuss our shows. Seriously, honest to goodness, the only reason the show happens is because of our Patreon people. So
Which is why we like you guys best by far.
And we can say that because you're the only ones seeing this.
Yeah. But don't tell the other kids.
But if you're doing the rewatch later, same to you guys. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
That's
so,
super helpful.
Yeah, it's really we really appreciate it. And like Roxy said at the beginning of our other episode, I'm really excited to dive into these shows today because there's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of weird stuff. And those are my favorite things to talk about.
And also, I just want to say, if you are doing a rewatch of this, say it's 10 years from now, you're making your way through old Super TV Showdown
Making
episodes.
your way downtown.
Walking fast. You can walk on your way down to the little description because there's going to be your episode titles
Yes.
and where you can find it. And there'll be time codes because you guys asked for those. You got it. We heard you, and we are answering it, and we appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, and I have that story for you guys that I've hyped
Yeah.
up.
Ooh, let's
way
wait.
more.
Let's open the story. Let's open the story. Let's
Wait,
open the story.
re-preface it for the people just joining at this point.
So basically, before we were talking about getting people's names wrong because the way that Sam introduces himself is as Sam Bashor, and someday somebody's going to interview him as Sam Bashor.
Yeah.
And it's going to be your own damn fault.
Uh-huh.
But it was interesting because for Nerdist, it hasn't come out yet. It's coming out on the 8th. I interviewed Emily Bett Ricards, and beforehand, I was watching all interviews, and 50% of the people call her Emily Bett Ricards, and 50% were calling her Emily Bett Rickards, right? So I was like, okay, you kind of have to go with the most credible sources or whatnot. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, it's got to be Emily Bett Ricards. Like, that's what it is. So then her publicist came and was like, just so you know, it's Emily Bett Rickards. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I introduced her as Emily Bett Rickards, and she was like, hey, I'm so sorry to do this, but that's actually not what my name is. It's Emily Bett Ricards. And I was like, dude,
You found out later that wasn't her publicist. It was a really good small prank.
It
You're
actually
the
was
publicist.
Stephen Amell. It was actually Stephen Amell pulling a...
And I don't feel bad because there's like 15 of she has like 15 publicists, so you'll never know who it was. But it was
Okay.
just like, what?
Damn.
Like, this has happened to me like many times now. It's the number one job. All you publicists out
crazy.
there know how to say your client.
How does she have 15 publicists?
Because
It
there's a
recycles
show,
her own.
there's a
Oh,
show
gotcha.
publicist, and then like there's multiple shows actually that they're on, and then there's her personal publicist, and then there's the publicist that's connecting her with the company, and like there were tons of
Wow.
people. So yeah, but I just thought that
But you said she was real cool.
like legitimately the coolest of all time. And actually, she waited till the end of the interview to be like, "Hey, if there's any way you could redo the opening take, just because so many people have been pronouncing my name wrong, and I really want people to know it's
Nice.
Emily Bett Ricards." And I was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, of course."
It's what the name is.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah.
I'd be super bad at that because I'm just when everybody's like, "Oh, DJ Woolridge," sure, sure. I don't. It doesn't matter.
You said it quick.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll
It doesn't,
go
it
through it
doesn't
quick.
matter. You know
How
what I
do
mean?
you say it?
Wooldridge.
Isn't that what you
literally,
just said?
You literally pronounce every
Wooldridge.
letter in the name.
Wooldridge.
Say it wrong.
Woolridge.
Oh, Woolridge. It
I
sounded like
definitely
you
say
said
that.
Wooldridge.
Yeah, Wooldridge.
It
Yeah.
sounded like you said that.
Yeah, and so it's like I'm not. I
Woolridge.
don't. I think it's from when I was a kid. Teacher's like, "Oh, Mr. Woolridge." Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
care. It doesn't matter to me.
Like some of my closest friends, Roxy Striar, I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Close
That's
enough.
fine.
Or we're gonna call it a day.
Yeah.
That does it.
That's Chrissy
Isn't-
Teigen came out and said the other day. She's like, it's Teigen.
Wait, really?
Yep.
The ones you need
Yeah.
it
Throw
for.
it all in the trash.
Yeah, the ones you need it for the most are like Saoirse Ronan,
Yeah.
because that's like
Gal
that
Gadot.
is 1000% not how your first name is spelled.
Whoever
I'm
has
just,
the
I'm just letting you know
name-
that's not how it's spelled.
Whoever has the name Siobhan,
Yes.
that's not fair. I know it's Irish. It's
Yeah.
mean.
Wait, Siobhan. How?
It's
Siobhan.
It's Siobhan.
Yeah.
I thought Siobhan was Chevonne.
There
Do you
might
know
be-
anyone spelt that way?
Yeah,
I only
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Those are cool people that their parents decided like, hey, I want this name, but I actually want it to be spelled like it sounds.
It's like people who are spelled Sean, Shaun. Sean. There's
Yeah.
really no way to mess that up. You can try though.
Anyway, fun name stories aside, I always thought it was DJ Wolverine. That would be a really cool name. That would be a really cool name.
What if you legally changed it to that and
No,
then you had
here's the
kids
thing.
and you
Yeah,
your last
here's-
name were Wolverine?
Here's the thing, it
Little
means
Wolverine.
the last name actually is a combination of the Gaelic words for wolf and power. So definition-wise, it's pretty cool.
Is wolf
Wolf
and Dridge
and power.
is power?
Yeah, I guess so, something like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So there you go.
We should do 23 and me's for the next couple episodes. You guys want to do that? Where you get our DNA read?
I would love
My
that.
my wife really wants to do the whole
Yeah, I've
DNA
actually
thing.
been listening
Just so
to
you
podcasts
know.
that they've been sponsoring. So they should do that for us.
Fun fact, they get to own your DNA when you send it in.
And that's why I am a little
Scary.
that's why I pump the brakes a little bit on doing the DNA test.
You know what? Let's not pump the brakes on this Legends of Tomorrow's talk.
Let's not.
Let's go full throttle.
Full force. Good Lord, I did not realize how much I missed having the show
It's such a dang good
on
show.
TV. It's
It's so good.
so good.
This episode in particular, it's episode 402, Witch Hunt.
Read it for us, Sam.
Okay, for some reason on IMDb, they like to write out the full synopsis, so buckle up,
Wait,
okay?
do it in an accent.
When the magical time seismograph, sorry, I got thrown off by that word. The time seismograph goes off, the team finds themselves headed to the Salem witch trials. Ooh. Sarah notices that Zari is taking the cases personally when she promises to save a mom who is being accused of being a witch. However, the team quickly learns that there is a magical creature in the town creating problems they haven't been expecting. Meanwhile, Nate and Ava work together to keep their Time Bureau funding by proving to them that magic exists. Sorry, I got a little tired
And also
halfway
tons
through.
of Constantine stuff, which they
Tons of Constantine. Can I just say right off the bat, and I didn't think about this until you were reading it, and it made me think back on the episode. I think I would drop off Zari back in her time.
Why?
Because she was always like 30 seconds away from completely
Losing
screwing
it.
up the timeline.
Hey.
And I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying she's a hazard.
Hey,
What she did in this episode
Wild
was
card.
real rough.
Yeah.
And I don't like actually that Sarah didn't say that.
Yeah.
That she was like, no, I'm not going to give you a hard time for it. I get it would be hypocritical, but if you are the captain,
Yeah.
you have to tell Zari, no,
Yeah.
you can't do what you just did because you legitimately almost got yourself killed,
Yeah.
got this woman killed, and you proved that there are witches.
Yeah.
Which is a really dangerous thing to prove in a time
validated
where
all these people's wildest fears.
Right. Like the truth about this woman is that she wasn't able to choke other people out.
Yeah.
And now you've shown that you can, which means that anybody they point at now and is like, witch, people are like, remember that time, that one
Yeah,
witch?
exactly.
Like,
the one.
what the actual F are you thinking?
it
even
would have
the
been
mom
helpful here if they had that little gun that wipes people's memories. Super helpful.
Remember,
What happened to
even
They
the
just haven't
mom,
used it yet.
even the mom was kind of like, no, I think it's probably for the best if I just stay here.
Yeah.
Continuity-wise, it's probably good that I stay here.
If you want to maintain the timeline, I think I should stay right here.
I'm blanking on this now. If you guys could help me out, it was a novel that we had to read in school. It is about
Mice and Men.
No,
Catcher in the Rye.
No, hold on. I haven't said the story. It's about the Salem witch trials, and it's about Prudence and her mom, and it's about the
Scarlet Letter.
No,
I
that's
got
not what
I
that
got
one.
nothing for you either, honestly.
It's a musical as well, and there's a movie with There Will Be Blood, main guy, Phantom Thread,
Yeah.
Lincoln, Daniel
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Day-Lewis. He
Wait.
is in this movie, and it's about the Salem witch trials.
Sure.
Hold on.
What the hell are you
Everyone-
talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea. And you said it's a musical?
It can be.
Okay. It can't if it wants to be.
It can
Witch
be.
Trials.
The Crucible. There we go. It's the
Oh,
Crucible.
Yeah, with Scarlet, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like Winona Ryder.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Winona
that's-
Ryder.
I don't know if that's
Wow,
what you
the
were going for.
Crucible.
Yeah, the Crucible. Thank you,
Danny
Kayla
M.
Marie.
Gangs of New
Wow,
York.
I am
Good job.
so mad at myself right now. Can we pretend that didn't just happen?
You didn't
Yeah,
know the
sure.
Crucible?
Emily Bett Ricard.
Let's focus on
Let's just
that
go
one
back
again.
to Emily Bett Ricard.
But no, this episode was incredible. A really cool thing that IO9 did. I've mentioned it a million times off camera,
Throw up
but
the
now
godmother. Throw up the godmother.
There you go. Here, wait. There she is. I want to mention that I believe her name is Kate Cara. I'm actually not. Don't quote me on that. I'm blanking on her name right
Kate
now.
Cara sounds like a bomb superhero.
There you go. But the actress who plays the fairy godmother was actually the same voice actress who played Cosmo's mom. If you remember the Fairly Odd Parent, Cosmo, he had a mom that was she was overprotective, and she was like kind of like the evil godmother to, or not a godmother, what do you call them? Mother-in-law, godmother-in-law, whatever. And
I
she
don't think it's godmother-in-law. It's just, just mother.
I bungled it. It's Mama Cosma. It's important to bring that up. But the characters here are basically the same minus the murder because she is equally done with like magic. She's like, I am a fairy, but everyone's just selfish and I just want to take care of my baby. And that's what this is too. It's like she's selfish. She is taking care of her baby Prudence because she has to.
Yeah.
But there's very similar stories, which is really cool.
Can we let DJ have the floor for a second? Because prior to this stream, when DJ was telling us that he is fully for her and thinks that she's the good guy.
No, I don't think
just
she's
would
the
like
good
you to
guy. I just
explain
don't. I just.
yourself.
It seemed like she was an agent of the girl's will, and while she was done with magic, like she wasn't. I don't know. She just wasn't like going around murdering people. Because did anybody? The guy got a crow in the face, but I don't know. Did he die?
Huh?
The guy that got the crow in the face. I think he just
wait,
lost an
hold on.
eye.
Are you actually asking about?
Yeah, doesn't he show up with an eye patch later?
Both eyes got poked out of that guy's head.
Yeah.
Then another guy lost an eye.
Okay.
There's one
And then
fully eyeless person now.
And then remember when she had the roots hold down all of the legends?
And do you wait? Do you remember what happened in Salem? Was that the mom goes up in flames, and then everybody goes up in flames?
Yeah, that would have been really bad.
No, but that happened. That actually did happen. They just changed it, but the fairy godmother did make that happen.
Was going to make that happen had they not fixed the timeline.
But it did happen,
But it
and then they
did.
went and fixed it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
bad things still happened, and then they stopped the bad thing from
She
happening.
was,
Listen,
like,
man, I don't
really
know.
evil.
Magneto was a part of a genocide, and he got to be a good guy again. So all I'm saying is maybe the fairy godmother can join the legends.
What's up with her?
If you said Magneto went, if we had told you Magneto went to hell, and you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
does understand what's going on with Constantine, especially at the end there when he wants to be her new host, and she's like,
Can I
"Oh,
tell
I
you
know."
what I want to be happening?
Yeah.
I want it to be Spectre. I want it to be, because we got teases of the Spectre in the Constantine show, and thinking about that as a character, if I knew God's literal vengeance was coming after me, I would want as much help as I could get as well. I think that's too much. I don't think the show is going to go that far into the comic book stuff. I guess because Constantine built, I don't know. Let me phrase it this way. There's literally no reason for me to think that that's the case. There's no evidence that it is the Spectre. It's just they set him up on the show, so
But
it
they-
could be him.
They do set it up that when the fairy godmother goes to hell, they're like, yeah, I would rather go where I'm going than
So
be
it's got to be
in your
something really
situation.
bad. And for me, I think one of the scariest characters in DC comic. Normally he's with the good guys, but I think just on paper, one of the scariest DC Comics characters is the Spectre.
Yeah, he's super scary because he doesn't fuck with anything that's here,
Yeah.
like on the mortal plane. It's like he just does exactly what God says, and that's it.
You guys suck at not swearing. I'm the best.
This is Patreon. You're
This
getting
is Patreon.
all the F's.
Listen, we don't mind swearing on this one. It's the normal Twitch show. that
What's
we
the
don't want.
opposite of no F's given?
Every
Oh,
F
you
given.
give
We
all
give
the
you
Fs.
all the F's.
All the
Oh,
F's, my
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get ready for all them Fs.
All F's all the time. Echo Spider in the Discord writes, I am behind on the show, a lot of shows, but I'm always, this is always first on my queue. Totally agree. I love this
It's
show.
so easy to watch anytime, any place.
So here's the thing. Sam was brought up earlier in the week. He asked
Let me see if I can find the tweet really quick.
Yeah.
Or the text
Is this
message.
when you guys were texting back and forth and you didn't include me?
Yes.
Suck it.
Just checking.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Just wanted to make sure.
I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
Don't worry. I'm going to pull this up.
Wait, I can even pull up the.
No. Gross. Oh, yeah. I'll pull this up because we were texting
Oh
about.
my god, that's wild.
I know, right?
It's
should pull it up. Pull it up, pull it up.
No, but this show is it's so entertaining, and it's balanced between dealing, like, the actual premise of this episode minus Fairy Godmother. It's actually exceptionally dark.
So
And it looks like the stuff going on with Constantine is actually pretty dark, but it's balanced between light and dark because we haven't even talked about. If you told me, oh, Nate and Ava team up, like, I don't care. No, it turns out it's exactly what I wanted.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. But my text to you was, would you even consider this a DC show anymore? Not that this is a bad thing, but it doesn't even feel the same as the other shows. Its characters are mostly all original to this series and are loosely related to their comic book counterparts mainly by name alone.
Who said that?
I
That
did.
was Sam.
I
and,
said.
so, and it was an interesting question because it's like, since it is not a straight adaptation of anything, I think this is the closest we've gotten to a pure superhero show spin-off. Like, because the show owes a lot to the other shows. All these characters showed up on the other shows.
Well,
But it's less-
Not really. I mean, White Canary did.
White Canary,
Ray.
Ray did.
Constantine.
especially the first
Constantine
season.
didn't show up on the other shows. He had his own show.
But then he did
not
show
on
up.
CW.
He showed up on Arrow.
That's how we
to
got
bring
him.
Sarah back.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so the three of them.
And then they banged.
And yeah, so and it was
Hawk
more.
Girl did, but then bye.
The first season was all characters that came from that. So it really is kind of like all the other shows are beholden to some sort of comic book backstory. This show just gets to do whatever the hell it wants, really.
Their rules are like there's no characters they can't use because they get to use all real people, and then any kind of fictional character, not
Yeah.
like anything specific. It's just general. It's just like, oh, fairy now, and we're gonna use that.
This show has the lightest rules of any show I think I watch, and I watch Doctor Who. Like this.
They try to follow rules there sometimes, but
this
still.
this show legitimately has almost no rules. They
Yeah.
literally can do whatever they want. Time traveling superheroes that now have magical beings in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that we got that with Nate's dad being like, "You do what now? What's happening? Like, why did you bring me a pig?"
Oh, it's
Tell
Ray
me
though. Ray and Mick as pigs were great, and it was like that's genuine magic. That's actually like 100% magic. It's not unicorns stealing hearts from virgins. Like this is like 100% magic.
If you
I
want,
still don't like that Gary storyline.
You know
fair.
what? You know,
Maybe that's why I didn't think the fairy godmother wasn't as evil, because she didn't become like a monster when she was being sucked to hell. Like the unicorn became like a monster. You know what I mean? I will say, if you want to know the amount of fuck itness to this show, he comes to the Wave Rider, Citizen Steel. Hank comes to the Wave Rider, sees the pig, immediately assumes it's Ray. the pig starts oinking, and he's able. Nobody else able to understand him.
No,
brings
that's
him back
actually legit, because they all took the thing that makes them understand other languages.
Good call.
But I didn't know it went to pig.
What a good pull. What a way to rationalize this crazy
animals.
Why don't they use that? Why didn't they use that with the unicorn?
Is that why Mick is such good friends with the rat?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know if any of this makes any sense, but anyway, then he takes it back on the assumption my pals will figure this out soon enough for this to happen. It's like. And I don't know about you guys watching. It's like, yeah,
for sure.
But I will say, I was kind of confused, and maybe I'm a moron. But how did he turn Ray? How did he turn Ray back into when he was like shaking him? He was like, "Come on now, Ray, come on!" And then Ray goes back to being Ray.
He was just waiting for them to figure it out.
No, he doesn't turn. If you watch the montage, that's out off screen, because that they show the fairy godmother getting lassoed up. Magic goes away. Cut back. Ray turns back into a person.
But what was he thinking he was going to happen?
He literally says, like, I'm sure my friends will figure it out. And so he's just waiting for them to solve whatever the problem of the week is.
I thought he was trying to get Ray to talk to his dad.
Because he kept like, shaking him. And I was like, that's not helping, bro.
Shake the Ray out of you. Biff... is now Dad Biff is now funding time travel, which is if you guys ever
$6 billion.
Yeah, it was a crazy amount.
$4.2 billion.
It was a crazy amount of money. It was like I watch this show, I root for these characters, and it still feels like too much money.
What's the deal now, though, that she can hire Nate? Do we like that? Does that mean that he's not going to be on as much?
Here's what I like about it: is it separates two of the characters that are almost exactly like two of the other characters off onto their own little thing, and so it's less
but two
of
them are hooking up, and it's still so weird.
I know, but
they look so similar.
If you told me that at the beginning of the episode, I'd been like weird, but I actually like their dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that could be, and it might just be a writer's thing. Like, hey, Nate. Hey, I don't know what we're supposed to do with Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you were doing the drugs last time, and you're kind of the guy who knows history, but also there's a computer for that.
What drugs?
He did like ayahuasca or something last season.
And it's probably because he's bummed about Vixen, even though that actress is coming back in some other role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice and confusing. Like when Captain America dates the granddaughter of his or grandniece of the woman he loves.
Can I tell you one of the most legitimately confusing as far as casting goes, confusing shows to watch on TV, especially if for some reason you're just coming in on season 8.
What?
American Horror Story. This season, because you've got Murder House and you've got Coven and you've got their new stuff. So Sarah Paulson plays like 4 different characters.
Why?
Because she's played different characters. She plays a new character this season. I'm enjoying it. She plays a new character this season. She also shows up as her character from season 1. She also shows up as her character from Coven. Mm-hmm. Which is the same thing she did in the hotel, because she shows up as her character from season 1, and she's a ghost on that. Like,
which one did I stop watching after?
I don't know. I stopped.
6 is good. 6 is good.
I watched up to 4, skipped 5, watched 6, and I gave it up.
What is this season?
This season is Apocalypse. 8? So it's season 8. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is wild, but I'm enjoying all the callbacks and references.
I do want to make one mention. If you throw out the asset really quick of Constantine, I did want to say that we did get a tease in his series that he, like in the comics, he had sold his soul, and he's basically damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, like in any situation. So I think that they're finally kind of maybe wrapping up that storyline by the end of the season. Like Constantine, I don't see staying around for much longer besides this season.
I love him on
I love him
show.
too. No. He's great, but honestly, like I don't see him lasting much longer.
Oh, to be fair, but I don't even know what they're going to do next season. Like if you told me at the beginning of season 3, like next season's going to be magic throughout history, it's like I keep waiting for this show to tackle multiple times. Like if they have to fix timelines of other dimensions, I feel like that's the natural progression of this show.
Well, are they? Because
I have to think about it. I mean,
Sam's brain just kind of shorted out. Like
I was like, I don't know what you do.
Go to Supergirl. Okay.
Yeah.
Have they
could
done that?
Could it be way too confusing? Yes. Could it be cool? Yes, it could.
When's our crossover? December,
but they're not going to be a part of it. Yeah.
I have no idea what.
but they're doing their own crossover that week. Remember?
Are
They
they?
announced that they're doing their own crossover of their characters.
Wait, who?
Legends is crossing over with Legends.
That's
What?
such a great answer.
Yeah.
That's such a great answer
Yeah.
for what they're doing.
Let
Can't
me see
wait.
if I can find that article. It's
Okay.
kind of wild.
Well, I hope so, because that would be amazing. But we'll let you know what, we have a couple other shows we need to talk
Yes.
about. Let's give a quick rating for this episode of Legends
9.
of Tomorrow. 9.5.
Yeah.
Really good.
9 also.
Yeah,
I
really
hope
dug it.
More magical transformations. And Mick, not phased at all. Just
Yeah,
like,
and
that's
also-
the pig that's eating through everything,
Yeah.
too.
Mick and Constantine not being great roommates. Also a fun dynamic.
In my brain, I thought they should have gotten along together. But I'm like, no, of course they wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, 100% they wouldn't at all.
Because you think that like, oh, they're both kind of rapscallions. You know what I mean?
This is coming from Sci-Fi. Legends of Tomorrow will cross over with itself seriously during Batwoman week. This particular episode, Katie Lott says this particular episode is insane. I think they wanted to do something special since we weren't going to be in the Elseworlds crossover. You'll see a lot of different sides of the Legends.
The shows have been really on point this year, which gets me even more excited about the crossover.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
in the
going to
world
focus
are they
on
gonna
alternate
do?
time periods. And
Which is what the show is.
yeah, I don't know. They're saying they're crossing over with themselves. We'll
Great.
see what that means.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Great.
Maybe
Love it.
first
On
season
board.
version of
It's
them
like-
have to meet
Or-
current season, and you're like, what in the world are you talking about?
Maybe it's one of their own Elseworlds, so it's them from alternate dimensions and stuff.
It's like, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good when like you start a table at school and then somebody's not invited to sit at your table and they're like, fine, I'll make my own table and I'll sit with me and I'm the best me.
You know, what'd be weird. And
Lonely
they're not-
twins.
and they're not going to do this. But if you had a version, so this version of the Legends meets an alternate dimension version of them that's a different composite. So like instead of Sarah Lance, it's Laurel. It's Laurel. It's Mr. Terrific. It's Captain Cold's still a part of it, and Heatwave died instead. Like it's an
Can we get Ragman?
Let's get Ragman in there.
Fuck yeah, Ragman. Crisis on Infinite Legends. Would love it.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Anyway,
They better be in the crossover next year.
Ooh, what
God
about
dang it.
Tommy.
Tommy. Tommy's the main character.
Wow. And
He-
Rip's still a part of it.
Yeah.
Rip's interesting. Anyways,
Yeah.
The
let's-
Hawk people.
Hawk people, please and thank
I just
you.
lost you guys.
Let's talk about. Wait, didn't she say she filmed something though? Wait, Kiara,
Wait.
Ciara.
Sierra Renee?
Yeah, I thought she said
If
she
they
would
do a
film
crossover
something.
with themselves, I'm fine with them showing up for that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I loved Sierra Renee. I think, first of all, like, woof, she's so hot.
Yeah. Hawkman wasn't
I didn't have a
bad looking
second of
either.
all. Yeah, no, they were
And
both-
I thought both of those actors were good. I thought
Yeah,
the
really
writing
good.
for them was unfortunate.
Keanu Reeves is Constantine. Yes, please.
Well, she was a big Broadway girl. Usually they can act.
Keanu Reeves is in John Wick 1 and 2.
Yeah, and both those movies are movies you should watch. You know what? Legends should cross over with John Wick. All right, let's talk about a more grounded show.
Speed. Oh wait, Black Lightning.
Black
Sorry,
Lightning.
I got Keanu Reeves on the brain. Black Lightning.
Speed the show.
This
Speed the action. Well, no, you couldn't. Never mind. Never
the-
mind. Run away.
This week's episode, season 2, episode 4, the Book of Consequences: chapter 4 - translucent freak. And
Why don't you have a description?
because IMDb didn't put one up. They don't put it up until like 2
Wait.
days after the
I
show
can come
airs.
up with one. Hold
Here
on.
it goes.
Little burp. So Black Lightning and Thunder are not happy with each other. Jennifer is still trying to learn how to use her powers to mixed effect. A lot of kid complaining in this episode. Wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yes, description.
Yeah, and Mama Lightning is still
Lynn.
working with evil scientist lady who is still kind
Prison
of evil.
convict.
Yeah.
Also, Tobias isn't arrested.
Is not arrested, which I don't know about you guys. That whole thing confused me.
Yeah.
I didn't know why he was picked up. I didn't know how he came the system because he's picked up after they're like, we can't arrest him because he murdered the cop that had the evidence. And it's like, that happened before you arrested him though. So
Yeah.
what's even happening right now?
I think they were just saying they jumped the gun.
Oh, but
and
then
they
why'd they
couldn't-
jump the
they
gun in the
shouldn't have.
first
They-
place?
Because they
Which they
do know
did.
he's guilty, and they basically, yeah, this was a little bit weird. I was
Still like that actor a lot.
Thunder.
What did you guys feel about all of the kids yelling at their parents for their parents doing things that kind of make sense?
No, I kind of feel Jennifer here.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't love that her parents have decided to homeschool her without having a conversation about it. Like, I don't like that they just came in and were like, this is what we're doing. Now, granted, I grew up in a very, very, like, conversational household where everything was a conversation, and maybe that was too extreme. But I think she would have taken it a lot better if they were like, hey, can we talk to you about this? We've been thinking about the possibility of homeschooling you. We're really nervous about X, Y, and Z. Yeah. What do you think about that? Would you like, if your dad, if I, what are you interested in? Like, just a conversation, as opposed to, you can't go back to your school that you love. Bye. It was just so kid-like the way that the parents handled it.
This was a trick my parents were pretty good at on me, is you phrase telling your kid something as if you're asking them a question. So it's like, hey, you're spontaneously setting things on fire. You don't know how to control your powers. Also, the crazy lady I work with is looking for you, and the government's looking for you. So we were thinking maybe it would be in your best interest, since we're all in danger, if we homeschool you.
How do you feel about that? Yeah.
And be like, well,
I guess. You know what? Do you have any ideas here?
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions?
Just,
no, cool. Well, we're gonna do the homeschooling.
It just was so. Like, they talked about it with each other, and they were like, yeah, she's not going to take this well. And then they went about it the worst way.
No. Yeah. A conversation isn't a bad thing, because this family is pretty functional all the way around, and they do show a really healthy family dynamic of, yes, the children they're not, there's not air quotes, I did air quotes, but no, they are the children of the family. Yeah. And they do act like that sometimes, but for the most part, it's pretty mature the way that they're reacting. And Jennifer is reacting the way I would expect. I would like it, because she isn't being talked to. How she talked to the woman who was going to help her with the emotions is that she got confronted in the park randomly and taken to psychic Twilight Zone.
That was a little much. And maybe I was put off by Anissa, because she's like, yeah, I'm doing something I know my dad's going to not like, and then when he tells me he doesn't like it, I get all offended by it. And it's like, but you're right. For one, you know what you're doing is wrong. Like, don't pretend like you think like this is a great idea I'm having. You know what I mean?
Definitely put off by Anissa, because I do agree with whoever is flipping the bill gets some say. And if you are living in your parents' house, they do get some say. Like, and you're over 18. So
how old is she? Question mark.
She was a teacher, so I have to think about at least 25.
Yeah, but is she also in school too?
But that's grad school is my impression. She is at least gone through the 4 years of college, and I feel like is doing more education.
I'm just saying, if you're over 18 and you're living in your parents' house, then they are doing you a favor. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be doing, but they are doing you a favor, because you're not legally obliged to live there.
Yeah, I wanted when she's like, fine, then I'll leave, and she leaves, and there's a close up on Jefferson's face. I wanted to be like,
yeah.
About time you got your own place. Jeez.
I know the family dinners are fun, but it's gonna be so much cheaper around here. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, because you know what? Both my parents, they've never said this, by the way, but both me and my sister have moved out, and near as I can tell, they are like way happier. Their life is like super chill now.
You know what's so funny?
We're out, we're functional, we're doing our thing. I think it seems like they're doing great.
My dad was so stoked when my brother moved out, so stoked when I moved out, but my sister, it was like the last one. You don't want them to go, so I feel like it would have been funny if Jefferson was like, yes, and Anissa left, but then when Jennifer went to leave, like no,
you're still setting things on fire.
We can't let go.
When it comes to the homeschooling, it makes sense for every reason. Yeah. But it's like, hey, for the kid who literally feels like she's a monster and she accidentally hurt her mom the other day, it's like, have a conversation with her. Like, and maybe in the conversation, you do come to the conclusion, even if she's against it, it's like, I'm sorry, there actually isn't another, like you're saying, it's like, there isn't another solution here, but at least explain it. They don't explain anything to her. They're like, hey, so you're just not going to school anymore because we think you're a hazard. One, you are. Yeah. And also, school's not safe.
So for me, exactly. Less that she's a hazard. More, once you see that her scientist partner is starting to figure out that, like, there's
the family.
Yeah, it's DNA. Like, that's super scary. You know what I mean? Because we just saw her, like, kill a kid just to see what happens. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It was really hypocritical also, though, because Anissa's so pissed that her parents aren't talking or are treating her like a kid or whatever. But then Anissa treats Jennifer like one also when she sees Khalil is texting her. And instead of being like, wow, Khalil's texting you, what's going on there? Is everything okay? Like, first of all, check on your sister to make, if your sister is texting with a killer, you should probably see if she's okay, as opposed to like jumping down her throat being like, that's wrong. Jennifer's like, I didn't respond yet. Guess what? You just led for her to respond, and that's now what's happened.
By the way, I don't like this whole Khalil, Jennifer with Khalil subplot. It makes Jennifer look
incredibly
super
abusive.
dumb.
It's an incredibly abusive relationship, and we see that like Dreamland or whatever that place is that she's where they are kicking the crap out of each other with that sexy music going on in the background, and I'm like, are they insinuating that we're supposed to be turned on by this? Because this guy and this girl
I got at all.
Really,
I don't remember the music.
The music was
didn't
like,
stick out to me.
Oh baby,
I thought it was more romantic music because it's her and Issa going to prom or something like that. That's
during the fight I'm talking about.
Oh no,
when
wait,
they're kicking the crap out of each other.
Does the music change? Or that's because that's the music playing, and then Khalil shows up, and then it keeps. Maybe that's what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I just didn't like. Yeah. I don't. I'm not saying the show is doing something wrong. I'm just saying that
it's weird.
If they're going to put this couple together, which I think they might end up doing, this is a very abusive relationship right now, and we're going to need something to change.
Yeah. Personally, I don't see them putting them together. I think it's more of her coming to terms with the kind of like toxic things that she needs to work out, because the boyfriend, that not only is she feeling the guilt of like, I'm kind of a little bit the reason why he was paralyzed. Like that's what he was there when he was there
she
because
definitely,
of her.
She definitely feels that way. She definitely shouldn't feel that
way.
But
it's easier said than done. Yeah. So she feels that way, and then the way he deals with it is by becoming a literal supervillain and killing her dad. So it's like, there's no way she
didn't know it was her dad.
Yeah, but also, how do you not hold on to that baggage a little bit?
And also, we're forgetting. Have we seen him with his shirt off? I mean,
that hair. I really like his hair. I like his little wrist gauntlets.
He's a dreamboat.
Yeah.
Painkiller. Am I right?
But again, I don't think it makes. It feels a little bit, and the show's usually pretty good about avoiding it. It feels a little bit like drama for drama's sake. Like we had to get her in a position to get back with Khalil, and I don't love that. What did you?
But I do feel for the position Khalil's in now, because he really is unable to leave.
Yeah,
he's got himself stuck.
He fucked up real bad.
Yeah. Really bad. And we've all fucked up, not that bad, but to a point where you're like, what do I do? And there's really no good option for him right now.
What do you guys think about new principal guy?
Bolin, shout out from Korra.
Which now I want to watch that to get the taste of this guy out of my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just enjoy Bolin on Korra.
A very unpopular opinion, I believe. Mm-hmm. I don't like the way he's going about it. I don't like that he's just come in and it's just like this white dude who's now trying to like rule with an iron fist. But a zero tolerance for violence policy is not the worst policy I've ever heard at a school.
Actually, I think most schools have them.
Yeah,
actually, I think they do.
And
especially after you wear a giant. I don't agree with that, but I do understand. Like after what happened at the school.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's what I think is amazing, but that doesn't make him evil for creating a zero violence policy.
Yeah.
And I think probably there would be less violence if they didn't think when they were violent that there were consequences. That's what consequences are for. Now I'm not sure, but the way that it happened was awful. But I can't say that I 100% disagree with having the policy. So I felt I felt icky and evil during that part.
Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to, because you understand, like, basically in his position, because, like, the whole point, like, he knows kind of how the community's going to look at him.
Yeah.
And so, like, you could go two different ways with the character. You could be like, he's the friendly guy who's always he's being fake and friendly or whatever, but really he's kind of being a dick behind the scenes. But no, he's coming straight forward. He's like, this is business. This is how it's going to be. Yeah. You did not help your students when they actually needed you most. And he doesn't need to acknowledge that maybe he was a good leader or a good teacher or a good molder of minds and children of the future. Doesn't matter. There was a school shooting and you didn't say anything and you weren't there. And so it's like, that's why it's like, this is an interesting character to make. We don't like him, but his character makes enough sense. And for the most part, even with the drama for drama's sake, it does make enough sense. But I'd be fine if it does all tone down a little bit. And also, I would like this character to go away, but his character does make sense, because what would parents want more than anything right now? They want structure and they want control and they want safety for their kids.
Yeah.
And even though that may affect some of the kids in the wrong way, and it could hurt them in a way with that kid being expelled, it makes sense. So I like where this character being introduced, and I like this challenge for Jefferson specifically.
You don't look at him and be like, there's no way somebody could be like that. It's pretty realistic.
It's reasonable too. It's we don't like it, but it's reasonable, especially for a principal that needs to run a school like that, where he knows I'm already the antagonist, which is like, I'm not like feeling bad for him. It's just like, I understand the mentality going into that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it creates a cool conversation of like, why is he such a dick right out the gate? It's like, because maybe he needs to for this specific situation.
Yeah.
I'd be interested what you guys at home think about this, because like, did you guys feel as icky as I did? Yeah, it was just.
Was it icky?
It was the toughest part of the episode.
Was
for me,
it
by
icky?
far.
Yeah, bowling. I started talking about bowling with them, and they were
Bowling, like sport.
There's a character in Legend of Korra named Bolin, and this guy, the principal, is the voice actor of that character.
Yeah. So and he's
a
really
lot more
goofy.
likable in Korra.
Yeah. That principal is a dick, though. That's got that from
He is.
Finio. Yeah, for sure. But also, can you guys fill me in? I think I missed a plot point when Thunder and Black Lightning team up to go take out those bombs, which was really cool when Thunder held her breath and.
What did you think about Gamby punching that lady?
Wait, what did you miss?
What did you think
why
about that?
were they looking? What was the tip they got to go after this woman? Is this something Tobias related, or is it just?
So
No, she was pregnant.
That's when the guy.
Oh wait! I wrote down the note. I love what Gamby said. He said, "Whatever that woman gave birth to ain't good."
So we see the guy visit Tobias when he's locked up to get permission to attack, because they immediately, and I liked this. I liked that they immediately knew that their money was being used for the church function.
Yeah.
And so they got to go ahead, and somehow, I kind of missed this too, somehow they got word. Actually, they probably leaked the word themselves so that Thunder and Black Lightning would show up.
That's what I gathered.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so they went for it. And
it was the guy who was like, I could make 2 calls and get you out of here, Tobias. And Tobias was like, you white people always trying to think we need help.
Which is funny coming from Tobias, because he's always talking shit about black people.
Yeah. Well,
Tobias doesn't like anybody.
That's part of the character. Well, I get it, because he's never felt like he fits in anywhere. Which is
that
like
translucent
a whole
freak.
Which was
interesting. You call me translucent.
Yeah, you can see right there. No, but I did want to point out I believe it's the lawyer, the prosecutor, whatever, that's helping Jefferson kind of run through the trial. That's Sally Richardson Whitfield, and she was the star of Eureka. It was a show on Sci-Fi, and she is a producer, I think executive producer now, for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, she does a lot of producing now for a lot of ABC programming, so it was cool to see her on this. I had a huge crush on her growing up, so it was really cool to see her here. Big fan. But what would we rate this episode, starting with Roxy?
I would say maybe a 7.9, like a little bit below an 8.
Yeah. I'd say a 7.5. This was still really solid. Black Lightning is still one of my favorite shows, one of these shows. But I think this was, of the season so far, this was my least favorite. Mostly because I was more confused about what was going on than normal.
Especially Tobias' stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really know why they brought you in at all. And I know he was like blatantly murdering people out in the open, but I don't remember that being mentioned at all. So I don't know how he got away with that part of it.
Yeah, also really bungled at Jefferson by not letting them know that you saw him kill your dad, like right then. You whiffed it.
But Gamby kind of messed it up too by covering it up.
But I
really
feel like
well.
there's going to be something that didn't get covered up.
No.
I don't know what.
We'll see.
Also, I keep forgetting that Tobias literally made his dad eat a whole book. And
Yeah.
then he killed him.
No.
Eat the book. Anyways.
What would you rate it?
I'd say 7.5 as well. It's lower for me, but it was still a solid episode because Black Lightning, they do the extra work to really tell you good stories about characters, and that you still get that in this show, even though sometimes they're acting dumb and you don't like it.
Also, I like Gamby's good uncle bit. Like, hey, you can stay here, but I'm gonna have to tell you. But like, he's very candid about like, I'm gonna help you get away with stuff, but I am gonna let them know. Like, I'm not gonna go behind your back, but I am gonna let them know.
And he's straightforward with Jefferson too. He's like, I'm not gonna not be friends with them. I'm gonna be their uncle, but I did tell you. So you can still be pissed at him, rightfully so. But you know what? Let's move on to Titans real quick, just for a second.
I was so excited. Oh, we're going to dive into episode 3. We're going to recap episode 3. Well, then I'm going to stow my excitement for just a second.
Just for a second, because we are going to talk about episode 4 as well. That's Doom Patrol. That'll be out very soon, but we got a little special screener. But first, let's talk about episode 103. And while we do that, I was going to pull up the synopsis
Episode 3, the first episode of Titans that made me not want to leave the show forever.
Oh, I wrote it down up there.
Yeah,
it's episode 103.
Origins.
Rachel and Corey travel to the convent where Rachel
You have
was
a hard
raised.
time with that one,
Yeah, I
always.
do. While Dick compares.
See, that's why we should change it, everybody.
His own orphan experience to Rachel's. Meanwhile, Rachel befriends Gar Logan. All right, we'll go over this really quick. Befriending is loose in this episode.
Yeah,
because
they literally, and this is the one, like, everybody seems to have a reason to be in Rachel's orbit, and then she just kind of runs into Beast Boy, and it's like, that feels like a stretch.
If you have an arcade experience with somebody, they are your best friend for life.
For life.
Everyone knows.
Roxy and I both got flirting vibes, which didn't bother me at the time. But then
definitely bothered me at the time.
But then I found out that not only is the actor who even though he's a young-looking boy, the actor who plays Beast Boy is about 10 years older than Raven. The actress that plays Raven is actually still just a teenager.
Oopsie.
So that's a little weird.
Do you guys remember, I don't know if you do, when they were looking for somebody to cast for Beast Boy, they had a very hard time. They could not find this guy. They looked high and low. This was like a year-long search. I saw it listed like 15 times the breakdown. And so they finally found who I think is perfect for the role.
In the next episode, we get to see more of him, and I think he's really great.
And I no shade on him.
Yeah.
But if they decide to have him romantically pursue her,
They probably will.
I want them both dead. So I'm going to say I love him.
Yeah.
Both dead.
Hey, pulling a page out of your favorite show for just a second.
Gotham. I see where you're going with
Poison
this.
Ivy, she aged up and changed whole faces twice.
And actually, to be fair, that might resolve an issue both of you have with the show.
So what if Raven went to hell dimension, and comes back and she's like a totally different actress?
We get to cast a new actress?
Yes.
And a straight fox, just like on Gotham. It's like, hey, she still has the brain of a 10-year-old, but she's fine.
No. This is how you get over it.
Fine with that.
It was a century wherever she was, so she.
You and I both watched Angel.
Huh?
You and I both watched Angel. We know how that works. We know how that works.
Angel had a little boy, and then taken to hell. Literally seconds later, an 18-year-old pops out and is like, Dad, and it's like, oh, that's how you got over not having a baby on the show.
Yeah.
Great work, Angel.
Or you just go the vampire route.
Vampire.
And they look really, really young, but they've been living for like 400 years.
Well, no, but see that in this situation, you could say they're aging down.
Button?
So that doesn't like the guy playing Beast Boy is still supposed to be a teenager too.
Yeah.
So that doesn't actually solve anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, so we just in this episode we start seeing the team come together.
Mainly Corey and Rachel together, and Dick and Corey hanging out.
Corey is by far and away the best part of this show.
Yes.
By far and away the best part of the show.
Oh, this also gets weird flashback. I'm always kind of against comic books specifically, considering how wonky timelines are on that. But comic book shows giving specific times of time passage. So when they're like 15 years later, it's like, oh shit, this version of Dick Grayson has been Robin. Let's be conservative. Let's say Batman trained him for like 4 to 5 years, and he's left Batman for 4 to 5 years. That means he's at least been Robin for like 5 to 6 years, conservatively.
A long time.
And it's like, that feels like, I mean, it helps with my detective concerns. Like, how is this young boy a detective? It fixes that problem, but like, shit, he was Robin forever.
Yeah, he's
It's Batman Forever, actually.
No, so hey, listen, I love that movie as a kid.
Big fan of blurry Batman. Big fan of him in the back.
Is that a serious comment that you're a big fan of him?
No, this episode had some wonky stuff in it, but I did like that. I giggled every time it happened. I like it.
This is what I was talking about. This is the shit superhero shows pull that no other fucking drama would ever try. If there's a character that's important, he's not going to leave lingering around. It's because, like, we don't know.
Wait, you're wrong. Because Dexter's Laboratory, you never saw the parents.
But that was a joke.
Burn.
But that was a joke. You never heard the.
You feeling burned? Because you just got burned.
You never heard the voices of the Peanuts.
Looks like he's gonna need some aloe because he got burned.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be talking to some psychiatrist, which I do like because it allowed another female voice as opposed to like whatever. But like, it just. All these shows do it. The Marvel Netflix shows like tease Elektra or Bullseye or whatever. It's like, no, if it was just another show, you just have the fucking character.
Except for Dexter's Laboratory. And a couple first episodes of Fairly Odd Parents.
I feel you on that, but I do not want to see a Batman in episode 3 of the show. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, just because it's Dick. If you're gonna do an origin story for Dick Grayson, just go ahead and have him show up.
I don't.
You know what? We might be getting a Batman very soon because there were some rumors.
Oh yeah,
out
and that
this
were
week.
immediately debunked.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they immediately debunked, and it's for the
Yeah.
best. So there was a big rumor last week that like Screen Rant did it. It was like a 5-page. It was like reading a crazy person's thesis on why
Well,
like JFK is still alive.
It was way more than that. Long ago, Louis Tan actually posted on his Instagram like months ago.
Yeah, pictures
with
at the
DC.
DC office and
Yeah.
whatever, and they said if you look at the hairline and then whatever, and it's don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Louis Tan as Batman. The only problem with it is he's only like 2 years older than Brent Blades.
Yeah.
Eh.
So
Well, Superman's been on Earth for like 90,000 years.
I'm hoping he's a part of the show, or I'm hoping I hope he's part of any DC thing. I think he's great, but I guess I'm kind of glad he's not Batman, especially since Dick. That means he was like 18 when he saved Dick Grayson from the circus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could have done without Dick Grayson's backstory in this episode.
You didn't like all of his when he was telling that therapist, he's like, "I need to kill them. I need to kill the
mind
people."
finding out why he cares about the car, but I'm with you because listen, is there anybody on this planet that doesn't know the origin story of Dick Grayson?
I guess there. I think
My
the answer to
grandma
that is
doesn't.
yes.
Okay.
I think there's a ton of people.
Does she have the DC Universe app?
She actually bought it before we did.
I think there's tons of people who don't, but I don't think it was necessarily relevant.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
I didn't. It wasn't like I was sitting there thinking, why does he care about Raven?
Yeah,
Orphans.
Yeah, I got it.
they're superheroes. They're all orphans. It's
Yeah.
just a matter. You get superpowers. You keep an eye on your parents.
And Disney princesses, like
Yeah,
you,
man.
you cannot have both parents if you want to be a prince or princess or a superhero.
Frozen almost had him, and then they went down in that shit.
You know. So
I forgot about that.
And the earlier seasons of Arrow proved the value of having at least one parrot around. It adds a lot of drama, actually.
It does.
But you like this episode more. I think for me, 3 is of the
Because
four,
Starfire,
of the
period.
episodes we've seen so far. For me, 3 is the weakest.
Yeah, and I
No
thought,
way.
I thought
Yeah.
the convent stuff was going to be really interesting, and then they like lock her up, and I'm like, oh,
and
this
then
could
it
be
ends up
interesting.
not mattering at all.
Yeah, because she blows her way out of there with her demon bombs, and so that it doesn't really quite matter for me.
So now I'm gonna. By the way, those watching Patreon, can we move to episode 4?
Yeah, we'll rate this one really quick. 'Cause,
What did we rate it last week?
I
We
don't know,
did.
but what
Okay.
now? Thinking about it for a week, did our ratings change?
I think I was a
Probably.
5 last week. I'm pretty sure I'm a 5 this week.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm a 6.5. I'm a
No,
6.5.
5 is really good. I gave the first ones 2.
I know, but
Yeah,
just
it shocks me
comparatively.
how compared to other shows you like how much you dislike the show. But anyway, we're not gonna go down that
give
rabbit hole
it-
again.
Wow, it's good dead air.
No, it's called suspense. Thanks, you ruined it. It's 7.
I really
The suspense could have cut it with a butter knife. It would
So,
have been amazing.
so now I'm going to do a more
What do you
concrete
spread it
intro for episode 4.
Cinnamon raisin
He
so
said that so we wouldn't interrupt him. Come on, Sam.
Jeez. So let's dive into episode 4 of season 1 of Titans. I'm really excited to talk about this episode.
Titled
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol.
Were you trying to do the suspense thing again?
No, a little bit. But Gar brings Rachel home to his family. Quote, a group of misfit medical experiments will come to know as the Doom Patrol, including Robot Man, Negative Man, and Elastigirl.
So this is going to be completely spoiler free. I say that because I almost said a spoiler to myself. I guess it's not too much. They don't call themselves the Doom Patrol in the episode.
You get a
those
tease
words
of
are
it.
never.
You get a tease of it.
Are they? Well, then I missed it. I missed it.
I think we could say the tease without getting too bad. Someone says they were doomed until I came along. And it was like,
until
okay, there you
they
go.
were doomed patrol until I came along.
Doomed. Someone could go on patrol. There
So
you
yeah,
go.
so we're gonna keep this spoiler free, man, it's just crazy to me. Like we're through the rabbit hole at this point. Live action Doom Patrol on your TV, man. Like that's, I wouldn't have bet money on it. I wouldn't have like live action Robot Man. Just wow, it's happening. It's this. It's the
I
end
don't
times.
know which
It's
one
the
of
end
them
times.
is the strangest. Robot Man, Negative Man, or Elastigirl. They're all bizarre to have on screen. I think that my biggest question to you guys about this is, after watching Doom Patrol, are you excited for a Doom Patrol series? Yes or no?
I might be the wrong person to ask because the answer is 1000% yes.
But
This
that
Why are
was
you
the
the wrong
same
person?
probably before this too. Does that?
No, actually, it's more. It's just because this really weirdly, considering this is the 4th episode of this show, it felt like a backdoor pilot. And so there was some of that pilot wonkiness.
What do you mean it felt like a backdoor pilot? I think it was a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, but it had that feel. It had that pilot feel where it
Yeah.
had that pilot wonkiness where we're kind of introducing everything. Everybody's still kind of feeling out, especially since this show has an added layer of complication because you have actors doing not the word isn't motion capture. They're the ones in the costumes, and then you have voice actors,
like stand-ins.
and so those.
I didn't feel like they were the ones in the costumes today.
They're not. I mean,
Right.
and they're not going to be. The guys that do the voice acting are
Right,
not going to be
yeah.
the ones in the costume. And so you still have to find that synergy between the physical performance and the voice acting, and they haven't quite figured it out. The Chief is a completely different actor in the show.
Good call.
Yeah, I'm excited for Timothy Dalton in the show. So it's
Why was that the case?
because they were able to get Timothy Dalton for the show, and so
And they just didn't get him
And
in
they had
time.
already
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and they had already filmed this a while
ago, yeah.
That
And so
really threw me off.
the voices were the easy ones to replace
Yes.
later. So
but you can still kind of tell there's still some of the. I think 2 or 3 episodes into the show itself, maybe even since they've already done the pilot. What if this is essentially the pilot? Maybe episode 1 of Doom Patrol, they'll have a little bit better rhythm for it. But I really like something I really like about this show is it's embracing the weirdness. Like we've got the nuclear family
Which
as the
show?
bad guys,
Titans? Okay.
That we've got the nuclear family as the bad guys in episode 2.
Yeah.
We've got Hawk and Dove in their full costume. Episode 4, we're gonna do Beast Boy's origin. Fuck it, here's the Doom Patrol.
What's your answer? Yes or no?
no.
You're not excited.
Well,
for
if
Doom
I have to
Patrol.
go, just
between
like yes or no,
Yeah.
no. And I was fine. I was on the fence about it before. And this is the problem I mentioned before, but I'll mention it now. It's that you have 2 characters that can't emote on screen, and like even if they make a sad voice sound, it's like that's not the same because the way we watch movies and stuff, it's because we're gonna be visually seeing some kind of emotion on someone's face. And besides Robot Man asking what things taste. Sorry, there's a little bit of that. I'll make sure I'm not as specific, but it's that the parts of this, it's just it's hard to connect with almost half the cast. Mm-hmm. So in watching this, you can tell that they added those voices in pretty last minute.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of it almost sounds like they ad-libbed a little bit and like we'll throw that in, that's pretty fun. And I'm like, actually it's not, because it actually makes very little sense and doesn't add anything to anyone's character whatsoever. The person that was so interesting to me that would make me want to watch the show is Elastigirl. I thought
she was amazing.
Because when it comes to like weirdness, Robot Man looks weird, Negative Man, I'm not really sure what's going on exactly, but Elastigirl actually seems the weird terrifying that would make me like interested. Kind of like when you see an ad for American Horror Story and you see like who's Leather the Gimp guy like floating around in the Red Room and you're like, what does that mean? It's like actually nothing when you watch the show, but it's like in this, her whole deal, super big question. I thought when you hear Elastigirl, what do you think of Incredibles? And I'm like, oh, she must be the same. No.
She seemed like she wasn't of this time.
No,
And it was
and I
really
love that.
interesting to
Well,
watch.
and there's reasons for that, but we don't spoilers.
Yeah.
What I had the biggest issue with was that this was way, way too soon to do anything about Doom Patrol. We are 4 episodes into a brand new show, and we have a entire episode focused on a different show. I'm just starting to maybe possibly get on board with Titans, and you're going to now introduce me to 4 new characters and leave our other characters somewhat in the dust for an episode when I've barely seen them. I don't understand the logic behind this at all. It kind of remind me of what DC's issue with the movies have been, which is rushing to the punchline. We did not build up to a Justice League movie, although I like Justice League more than most people did. We didn't build up to it. We did not build up to Doom Patrol. We just didn't. And so that was like so jarring.
And I think for me, it's refreshing because I think the idea of building up to stuff, I feel like Marvel in particular emphasizes it too much. It's like, no, we can't have Bullseye in season 1. We need to have 2 full seasons of Daredevil before Bullseye shows up. It's like, or sometimes you can just do the thing. You can just go for it. You can just have like, listen,
but I don't even know who these characters are.
Doom Patrol is part of Beast Boy's backstory, so just have them. Like, and so for me, I like that we're just let's just go for it. Let's not mess around. Let's just dive right in and be willing to go. Like, they've traveled across the country at this point. Like, one of the problems with a lot of the Netflix shows, it's like the same 3 sets every episode. Like, in this, at least this show's switching stuff up and they're moving forward.
So
for me, I was into it.
We did a whole episode about Hawk and Dove, though.
Yeah.
And now we did a whole episode about Doom Patrol.
You're saying that like it's bad things, and
Definitely.
for me, it's great.
Well, here's a way you could have done this in a way, this specific episode, because you could have the Doom Patrol on the show.
Yeah.
But a way that could have at least propelled the plot of this show, which isn't Doom Patrol at all. Maybe they'll come back. Who knows? Like no one, like that's not important. This is more just trying to get Beast Boy to get with the rest of the cast. Is if you show what his storyline is with this story, what Rachel, how a Beast Boy, and how like Rachel and them are talking and whatever, and then you have your Starfire and Dick, and they actually get together about halfway through this episode, and then from there we start moving forward with Rachel's plot. We kind of keep going forward with that.
One thing I do like about this is that it does move forward. Rachel, not to go into spoilers, but I like the progress. I'm finally starting to become interested in Rachel. They progress her in a way that I think is compelling.
I think the actress is getting better.
She's getting better,
which I was really happy to see.
But some of the effects for her specifically are better. But for me, it's that you could have had flashbacks with the Doom Patrol still here, and it'd been like, oh, he comes from like a misfit. Like this is actually how he could relate with Dick, because he's kind of coming from a circus of freaks a little bit. Like he's coming from people that like they are all the outcasts, and Dick should be able to.
And we could have had Beast Boy team up with it and have him run into his, like he just runs away, and then maybe the family goes to find him and they show up later. We could have done. I totally get it. I'm just saying, for me, totally into it.
There you go.
For me, totally into it.
Yeah, and I think I'm they're gonna watch the Doom Patrol show just to see what they do.
Yeah.
Because when you say Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer and Timothy Dalton, and I'm blanking on the actress who plays Elastigirl, but actually she was my favorite part.
She did a really good
too.
job.
Yeah.
I also like.
She's been in like other stuff too. She's popped up places. Her story just seems so immediately compelling. Like,
and
we're
also in the show we're going to get Crazy Jane, so which adds more characters that aren't behind. I do think there is a level of difficulty with that show. Again, for me, I think it's less about these people not being able to emote and more about finding a way that they can emote by having the actors in the costume kind of knowing the performer that's going to do the voice, and the voice actors kind of knowing what it's going to look like on camera. And there's a synergy there that I think will help, that hopefully once we get into the show, they kind of find that rhythm.
Her name is April Bowley.
Balby plays Elastigirl.
Yes.
Does a really good job on this. Also very pretty.
I think a way that like Robot Man and Negative Man usually get around it in like comics is that you're able to animate the eyes, kind of like how Spider-Man MCU. What does he have now? He has like the lenses that close and open.
Yeah.
We found a reason to explain that, so now that when he's in the suit, he can think, he can squint, or if he's surprised, he can open his eyes. For them, it's nothing. It's flat. There might be, we'll say this, when you watch Negative Man, there might be a part of his costume that moves.
I think he has a little mouth hole that
it looks like a little beak.
I didn't know it was going to happen based on the pictures, based on the still images. It doesn't look like, unless the actor needs that to breathe, you can just take that out.
You can nix it.
Yeah, but I think they'll find their rhythm. And again, as a fan, it's just cool to see these characters on screen. It's cool that we finally are, again, no spoilers. Our team of characters are coming together, and kind of, I don't know about you guys. After this, it's like, I don't know. I knew this was coming. This would have been reported for a while. I don't know where the rest of this season's going to go.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have legitimately no idea. And with the nuclear family, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. But it's interesting because you just said, as a fan, and in the chat from Danny M, who says, I don't feel like a build-up was necessary, but I can see why mainstream audiences would need it. I think I would consider myself a pretty big fan, not a mainstream audience person. And I do think people probably from mainstream would need it more because they literally don't know who these characters are. Like, they're meeting brand new characters, and at least I have enough to fill in. And it has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with the fact that I have not fallen in love with the show yet. Yeah. And now you're pitching me another show, and I like that show better. I liked the thought of Doom Patrol better. So
you asked us that question. You're excited
for
cool.
Sure.
I've got to be honest with you. So we know we're 3 episodes in. We know they curse on this show. Sounded way more natural coming from the Doom Patrol cast. It sounded like, oh yeah, these are characters that cuss. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And they deserve it.
Yeah,
they should be allowed to.
Yeah, they really are. They've been, in the comics they kind of talk about like, did the chief help them by saving them? And then watching the show, you're like, yeah, I kind of don't think he did. Yeah. I kind of think they might have been better off if the chief never found him.
Mm-hmm. But maybe not. We don't know. Spoiler free.
We wouldn't have a show without it.
I will say 50% of the cursing from the Doom Patrol made sense. There was one where it was like there's something happening in the background, and all you hear is voiceover like, "Oh, fuck." what's this? And I'm like, oh my God, oh, this person recorded this audio in basically a vacuum. They don't know what's happening in this scene.
Yeah.
It felt like, and that kind of happened a couple times. 50% of it makes sense. I think it's just going to always be weird for me, so I'm just going to get over it. I'm going to get over when it makes me feel uncomfortable, because it's just me.
I have so many thoughts for when we can finally talk spoilers about this.
Yeah. Oh, this is a big episode, too. So,
yeah, huge.
So what would we rate this episode?
Lower for me. Just because there's a lot of problems that I think the Doom Patrol show's going to answer before Titans answers. And you bring up a good point. Where in the hell do they go from here? Like, this is episode 4, and there's 13.
There's 10.
There's 10. Oh, no. That's even less.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite one so far.
I don't know where they go.
Because I want a Doom Patrol show, so I think I'd give it a 6.
Yeah, I'd give it a...
keeps going up.
I'd give it a 7.5. I'm tired of superhero shows like waiting around for stuff. So I'm glad that we're going in. I'm glad this is a show that embraces the weird. And it's just cool seeing these characters on live action.
I'd give it a 6 as well, because I want to get back to the Titans, because I'm starting to like them.
Yeah.
And the Doom Patrol can be cool. It's that I wish we just kind of stayed more with the Titans.
Also, I gotta say, this is the most time we've gotten to spend with Beast Boy. Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan of Beast Boy.
As long as he doesn't make the moves on Rachel.
As long as he doesn't make the moves on Rachel, big fan.
Same.
Yeah, because that's their thing in the comics, right?
It can be, and it was also a thing in the Teen Titans cartoon.
If they don't go that way, kill them both.
Yeah, we also got some more time with Robin and Starfire, and I like their dynamics so far.
Hey, actually, what was really interesting is I was getting some flirty vibes there.
Yes, which as a fan, that's what we want.
Yeah, I was getting some flirty vibes there, but I thought that was pretty soon after we got the flirty vibes last week with Hawk and Dove episode.
No.
It was pretty flirty for us to have just seen flirty.
Dick gets around. What can I say?
Round, get around. Dick gets around.
So we'd like to know either in the chat here or in the comments down below,
the Discord,
what you guys thought of this episode. When you see it, please check it out. Let us know what you think. Whether you're excited about the Doom Patrol series. For the people that are watching this later, you could have watched this live on patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. We record on Thursdays. First half of the show is on twitch.tv/playnoggin. Second half of the show is behind patreon.com/onlystupidanswers.
5 p.m.
And check out more videos on our YouTube channel. Sam will probably put up stuff around here that you can click on. You can go to
maybe it's around here. You
never know. So you can go to onlystupidanswers.com for more. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash.
Sam Bashur. Everywhere that matters.
At Roxy Stryer.
Everywhere that matters.
Oh, usually? And some places that don't.
Yeah. Who's to say?
I like that pitch. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the full edited version of these. The DJ does good work with that, so you better tell him, damn it. Better tell him.
Again, that's patreon.com/onlystupidanswers if you want that. If you want the full show, come join our Patreon, because we have a nice little community over there. It's a lot of fun. Little kisses.
You know what? They're called the
little
kisses.
That's
a big, wet grandma kiss right on your cheek. Or a little too close to your lips. You're like, Grandma, stop it. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.